What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a story time for you guys about the time this dude's dad tried to break into my house to get revenge at me for beating his son at a game in the neighborhood. Yeah, it really do be like that sometimes. Regardless, it should be a pretty entertaining video. Before we get into it, though, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. Your neighbor's gonna try to break into your house and fight you for beating them at a game, and trust me, it's just very awkward to explain to your parents what's going on. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it.
It's not good. Nice racking her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk, but it's a hell of a feeling.
Alright, so every now and then we would have these like neighborhood games with all the kids that would get a little bit intense, you know, and there was one kid in particular who lived up the street who really wouldn't let stuff go no matter what. We would be playing hockey or football outside, like just a pickup game, and his team would lose, and he would throw a temper tantrum and cry and freak out and try to fight everybody on the other team. Like, basically, no matter what happened, if this kid lost, he would freak out, and it would literally just be pickup games in the neighborhood. No reason for him to have a temper tantrum whatsoever, but he would literally fight people over this stuff. And because of that, nobody really would like invite him to be on their team during neighborhood games. He would just kind of invite himself and play by himself, or like just join a team. But because he kind of had anger issues and was constantly trying to fight everybody, like, we would just kind of avoid hanging out with him, which I know sounds pretty mean, but trust me, this story is kind of the reason why. Regardless, one week there was a kid on our street who saw this game online called Assassin, where like you would run around with highlighters, and if you mark somebody on the back of their calf with a highlighter, then they were, you know, assassinated, and like that was how you played the game. And if you got marked, then you were out for the rest of the day. And all the kids in our neighborhood were like, wow, that sounds really fun. And to be honest with you, that's because it is a bunch of fun. Like, it sounds really immature, but I'm gonna be honest, it's pretty harmless. Like, all you're doing is marking people with a highlighter, and it's a pretty fun game, especially when everybody's pretty into it and like taking it seriously, running around trying to hide from each other. It's a pretty good time. And as soon as he found it, he went around and told the whole neighborhood, and because we were a bunch of nerds, we all instantly were like, hell yeah, this is gonna be great. And people got really into it. You know, a couple of kids started making their own like brotherhoods because Assassin's Creed was really popular at the time, so they had like these collectives, basically a team in the game, and they would kind of patrol the neighborhood together with certain highlighter colors. Like, I'll never forget, dude, I'm not even kidding, there was a group of kids who would wear those zip-up Minecraft creeper hoodies because they thought they looked like the Assassin's Creed get-ups, you know, like Ezio with the hood over them, and they had green highlighters, and they would like run around hunting other kids. So just imagine hanging out outside and you would see a group of creepers just chasing a kid down the street, chasing him, being like, get him, with their highlighters in the hand, and the other kids just like running full speed. But everybody was in on it, you know, like if somebody wasn't playing, you were just kind of supposed to leave them alone, because that's just the normal thing to do. You shouldn't just go down chasing people who aren't playing. But of course, the one kid who takes things too seriously always, who I'm gonna name Derek for the rest of the story time, was just not having fun with it. Like, he really wanted to play, but no brotherhoods wanted them to be a part of him because he always took things too seriously and would like try to fight with people, so everybody was just kind of avoiding having him on the team. And in response to like not having a team to be on, instead of playing the game by himself for a bit by the rules and kind of like getting people to realize that he was willing to play nice, he just started doing things that were absolutely ridiculous for the point of the game. So, as I've said, the point of the game is to just mark people with a highlighter, right? Well, he decided, since no one wanted to be on his team, that he was gonna become the best at it, and the entire point of the game was to either get chased down by people that are faster than you, or like outsmart somebody, catch them off guard. You're supposed to basically have to outplay somebody. But this kid literally just started like chasing people down on his bike so you couldn't get away, and then he would run kids over with his bike. I'm not even kidding. Like, full speed, he would just hit kids with his bike, knock them over, hurt them because he would be flying downhill on a bike to chase you down, and then he would mark their calf, and because like you're injured, you can't get him back, you know? A lot of times there was a little bit of a risk like chasing somebody down because they could always just be like tired, you know, and turn around and just try to mark you back, and at that point you're both out. But like, yeah, when a kid literally runs you down with a bike and while you're hurt on the ground crying marks your calf, it's kind of just an unfair advantage advantage. So obviously, nobody really wanted to play with him, but like whenever you were outside playing, he would just do it. You would just be minding your business, going to check the mail or something, and here this guy would come and just run you over with his bike and mark your calf. So obviously, nobody really liked playing with him, but he thought it was totally cool because, oh, I'm winning, like you guys are just hating me because I'm winning. And listen, sometimes people are gonna hate you when you're winning, dude, but nah, it's pretty understandable why all the kids in the neighborhood were not giant fans of having just some rogue dude running around running everybody over in the name of like winning the game, because it's just not that deep. So obviously, that made everybody hate him even more. Like, that made everybody really not want to hang out or be doing anything with him ever when he started doing all that garbage. And obviously, there's going to be some people in the comments, like, maybe that's why he was mad. But yeah, nah, you don't get the invite after you start running people over. And what makes it even worse is this kid was a little bit older than us. Like, we were probably, 11, 12 at the time. And this is like a 14-year-old running over 10-year-olds on his bike to win at a game. It's just not cool. He was definitely in the wrong. And I'm not gonna feel bad for like telling this story, but regardless, that's just what was going on. He was like running people over with it. So imagine this dude taking this game so seriously that like when everyone else is trying to play normally, he's running people over with his bike, going and saying to win, and it's just not that deep. Like, it was just supposed to be a fun little variation of tag. That's really all it was supposed to be. It was never supposed to be anything more than that. So there's no reason for him to be trying this hard because there's not a prize. Like, I can even understand, him sweating this hard, running people over if there was money on the line or like a trophy even, because YOLO, some people take stuff like that a little bit too seriously, and I'm not going to be the one to tell them that like there's no reason to chase it if there's something to win. But yeah, when you're trying this hard and actually hurting people for nothing, you're just annoying. And regardless, one day we're just all outside playing, and I had a blue highlighter in my hand, and I see Derek, and he's in my front yard, like hiding in this bush. We had this big bush in our front yard, and our house at the time was on the corner, so it was kind of like a good vantage point. You can kind of see where everybody was and where everybody was going. So for the purpose of the game, hiding in that bush was pretty good. So I see Derek in the bush in my front yard. So, I'm obviously like, hey, here's my chance to sneak up on him because he's in my front yard and he doesn't realize that he's sitting right in front of the gate from the backyard. And our backyard had a gate on either side, so it would be pretty easy for me to like go in one side of the backyard and sneak up on him on the other side of the backyard. And because he's always a jerk, I wanted to get him out. So I basically decided to do it. So I'm sneaking through the backyard and I'm tiptoeing like Sly Cooper. I'm just doing my thing and I'm staying silent to get behind him without him knowing. So he's sitting in this bush to get a view of people coming by, kind of like some ghillie suit energy. And one thing you gotta know about him is he was constantly bragging about the fact that nobody had ever been able to get him out before. And the reason nobody had ever been able to get him out before is usually when he would tag people, they were like injured on the ground crying. So yeah, they weren't really focused on marking him back. So I knew that like when I had snuck up on him, he was gonna get pissed because it was literally his main bragging point whenever he was talking to anyone, how good he was at assassin. But regardless, I sneak up on him, I go through my backyard, and he doesn't see me. So now I'm standing behind him with my highlighter, and he's wearing shorts. You had to wear shorts to play the game, because obviously, like, if you're wearing jeans, it's impossible for people to mark your calf, so he had to be wearing shorts, and I just marked him with the blue highlighter really calmly, and I was just like, boom, you're out. That's all I said. I just marked him and said you were out. He's sitting in my front yard in my bush. I had snuck up on him, and I wasn't trying to fight with him. I just wanted to get him out. Not to mention, as I've said, the game literally respawns the next day. So yeah, I got him, but like the next day he's back anyways. So there really was no reason for him to be upset whatsoever. Apparently though, in his tiny little brain, dude, his primitive caveman monkey brain, he just decided that like, whatever, there's no way he could be out. So as soon as I mark him, his response, instead of just, ah man, dang it, and going back home for the day or getting out of the bush, is to spin around and just swing on me. And he like swings on me. Thankfully it's pretty slow. I'm sure it's hard to get a pretty fast punch when you're halfway inside of a bush. Like, that's probably pretty difficult to get some momentum. So I'm able to step out of the way relatively easily. Like, I'm not trying to pretend I'm Mike Tyson out here dodging punches. He punched pretty slow and I like back out of the way, obviously, and I'm caught off guard considering I didn't scare him. I didn't like talk trash and jump on him. All I did was reach out and just mark the back of his calf with this highlighter and just say you're out. I was not trying to throw hands, but he just turned and swung on me for no reason. Regardless, after he swings on me, I take a step back and I just tell him to chill out, obviously, because I'm not trying to fight over this game, dude. Like, if I'm gonna fight you over anything, it's not gonna be the stupid game that we all learned off YouTube and are playing, and like, you're literally sitting in my front yard, dude. I don't know what you want me to do. So I just tell him to chill out, and he starts screaming about me, about how it's cheating to do what I just did, and like, I'm a cheater and whatnot, and I'm obviously confused because I didn't do anything to cheat. All I did was sneak up on him. So I start asking him to explain how I'm cheating, and he just kind of starts stammering and doesn't actually have an explanation. So I start being like, look, dude, you don't even know how I cheated. Look how dumb you look right now. Like, you're accusing me of cheating and you don't even know how I cheated. Do you understand how ridiculous that makes you look? And obviously that just pissed him off more, but that was kind of the whole point. And he just keeps screaming about how I cheated and he's gonna get revenge, and apparently it's against the rules to sneak up on people, which, keep in mind, the game is literally called Assassin. That's like the entire point, is to sneak up on people to get rid of them, you know? It's not to be a super nice guy and like strap a siren to the top of your head and have it blaring, here I come, here I come, here I come. Like, yes, in a game called Assassin, there is an aspect of the game where you're just supposed to sneak up on people. I don't even feel like that's supposed to be rocket science, but we're in my front yard and he's screaming at me how I'm cheating and whatnot and how I'm ruining the game and blah 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 and making it unfair. So all the other kids that are outside start kind of like coming over just to see what's going on, because he's making quite the commotion and he's freaking out and like trying to fight me. So as kids start coming into the neighborhood, he kind of realizes people are watching, so to look cool, he like tries to tackle me, and I'm trying to get him off of me, so we're fighting, but not really. It's kind of like that half wrestling, half punching each other fighting, and a bunch of kids are around us, and finally, I like throw him off me, and some other kids kind of hold him back. He wasn't a very big kid, so I think he just more tried to tackle me to try to look cool, and so now people are holding him back, and he wasn't really like saying anything while we were fighting, but as soon as people were holding him back, he starts being all tough, which, you know, people love to do that, dude. Like, once they're being held back, they start talking a bunch of trash, whereas 30 seconds ago when they were actually fighting you, they were saying nothing. It's just a little ridiculous, but he starts spewing all this nonsense about how, like, oh, I'm gonna get revenge on you, and my dad's gonna teach you a lesson, and I'm really gonna regret this, and whatnot, and he hates me, and like, listen, I understand after a fight you're a little bit emotional, dude, but wow, oh no, you're gonna threaten that you and your dad are gonna teach me a lesson and get revenge because I tagged you with a highlighter, dude? Like, it's really not that deep. I was just playing the game the way it was supposed to be played. I saw you sitting somewhere and knew that there was a chance for me to get you out, so that's exactly what I did. I don't understand why this kid is so pressed at me, literally just playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, but he's freaking out, and then his friends are like holding him back, and half the neighborhood is just sitting there watching it. And once his friends took him away, which they did after a bit, everybody was kind of coming up to me and being like, yo, good job, like, that guy's such a jerk, no one's ever got him out before, like, good job. So most of the neighborhood was pretty happy that I had snuck up on him and gotten him out, but him and his friends obviously like sulked away, and they weren't really friends with him, you know. They were just the older kids that didn't want to look weak by like siding with a lot of the younger kids, because they didn't really play with him either. Like, as I said, the Derek kid was a little bit too extreme for anyone to really be hanging out with, but they just kind of like, you know, thought that because he was older, he was cooler than everybody. But one thing that all the other kids in the neighborhood were saying is that, like, I should be a little bit afraid of him getting revenge, because every other time he had said that he was gonna, you know, get back at somebody in the neighborhood, he usually did, whether it was, you know, running them over with his bike or bullying them. Like, he was just a jerk, dude. He was a jerk. And his dad was a jerk, too. His dad was one of those dads that definitely peaked in high school and was now, like, trying to live vicariously through his son, you know, giving him tips on like how to bully kids because it was the family tradition. It was a little bit like the family business. And as soon as they heard that I got threatened by his dad, that like him and his dad were going to teach me a lesson, all the other kids in the neighborhood were like pretty afraid, you know. They were like, dude, aren't you afraid that, you know, he's going to get revenge on you? And I'm going to be honest, I really wasn't. I didn't think anything of it because I've never really understood people that use their dad as a threat. Like, yeah, dude, I'm sure your 35-year-old dad can beat me up, but that really shouldn't be a surprise considering that I'm literally a child. Like, genuinely, it should not be a shock that your 35-year-old dad has the capability to beat up an 11-year-old. And even then, if your 35-year-old dad is sitting there like after work, he comes home from his job and you run in there telling him about how you and the neighborhood kids play a game where you mark each other with highlighters and you got marked out because someone snuck up on you and it wasn't fair. And his first thought is, oh my God, me as a grown man better go fight that kid. Then your dad's just kind of stupid and I don't care anyways, dude. Like, yeah, sure, he can beat me up, but that really shouldn't matter considering the fact that he's like a grown man. Like that should just be obvious. I know that was a little bit of a rant, but I hate when people do that. Oh, my dad could beat you up. Yeah, probably. I was 11. That's just not a flex. Regardless, the neighborhood kids are obviously a little bit nervous for me, but whatever. Swing around your giant 35-year-old man-child as a threat. It's just like The Rock beating me up. It's just not that hard because I'm a little kid. Anyways, I go about my day just vibing, but apparently the kid is going around telling everybody in the neighborhood that like him and his dad are going to teach me a lesson and I'm going to learn the hard way. So he's hyping it up to everybody but me that, he's going to get revenge. And to my face, he's acting super nice, acting like everything is cool, oh yeah, no, we're good, bro. You got me, well played. And behind me, as soon as I'm leaving, he's telling everybody how much he hates me and he's going to make me pay. But like as soon as he leaves, they're telling me it's just a disaster. There are no secrets. This guy thinks he's being sneaky and he's just not. So whatever. I'm just expecting his dad to like yell at me for sneaking up on you, which in my defense, you're literally in my yard, so I don't know how I could sneak up on you. Like maybe if you don't want people to scare you, you should be sitting in your own yard in your own bush. And you know what? My dog peed in the bush he was sitting in anyways quite often, so he was sitting in the pee bush. So haha, joke's on you. You probably inhaled a lot of disgusting things that my dog peed out, you idiot. Whatever, I'm just doing my thing, not really sweating it. And that night, my family is just chilling out watching some TV on the couch, which we did not very often. It was like one of the rare times we were all together watching TV on the couch. And the way that our living room is situated, we had like our couch behind us, and behind the couch were these French doors out to the backyard. And we had a basset hound at the time, like he's passed away since, but at the time we had a basset hound, and he's just going bonkers at the back door like there's something out there. So one thing about basset hounds, for anyone who has one, is like they always bark and go crazy. It's not a very rare thing for them to just kind of go ballistic whenever there's any movement in the backyard. So whenever he would do that, it wasn't, very rare. So nobody's really thinking anything of it. But for whatever reason, he just keeps going crazy at the back door over and over and over again, even more than normal. So finally, my dad gets up to go see what he's barking at because he just won't stop. And he sees two people on the back patio, like hiding behind the patio furniture. And the way that the patio at the house was, there was like this fan with a light on it. And they're in the light, crouched down behind these patio chairs. But the patio chairs are the type that are like plastic and really small. So it's a grown man and what appears to be like a teenage kid just hiding behind our patio furniture. And that's what my dog's been going crazy at. So obviously, my dad tells my mom to like stay here with me and my brother, and he opens the door and just yells. He's like, "What are you doing out here?" And both of the people stand up from behind the patio furniture and just take off running. But the backyard, as I've said, has these fences on either end. And for whatever reason, instead of opening the fence and continuing the run, the grown man goes to like jump the fence but fails. But he's already moving so fast that he just kind of like body slams into the side of the fence, and it makes the noise that, slamming into a fence does, that metal like sound, and he kind of slams into it and falls on the ground. And the teenage figure is just kind of standing there looking down because I don't know, whenever you see like a grown man just slam his body into the fence, it's probably just a very confusing thing. So obviously my dad runs over at that point and like pins down the guy who's just standing there, or laying there now after he slammed into the fence. And we have the Scooby-Doo moment where like the mask gets pulled off. They weren't wearing masks, but pretty soon it's found out that it's Derek and his dad. And they're like, we can explain. And they start trying to tell my dad that they were going to wait in the backyard until I came out later with the dog, and then they were going to mark me for the assassin game, dude. This grown man and his son were literally just sitting in my backyard, hiding behind my patio furniture, which, as I said, was just plastic chairs, dude. I don't know if they thought that was like a good hiding place or that I wouldn't have seen them or something, but they were sitting in my backyard waiting for me to come outside so that way they could beat me at the neighborhood game to get revenge at me for tagging a kid who was hiding in my front yard. Like, if that's not the just most pathetic grown man thing you've ever heard ever. This dude is a father, and him and his kid were like, hey, it's a Friday night. Better just go sit in someone's backyard behind some lawn chairs and hope for the best. Definitely no way that makes us look pathetic whatsoever. Not realizing that, nah, it just makes him look super, super creepy. And my dad just kind of looks at him and is like, well, what if he didn't come into the backyard? And they say that they would probably have just come into the house and tagged me. This dude was really about to stage a home invasion to get revenge on me for getting his son's calf with a highlighter, bro. Like, what did he think my family would have done if all of a sudden these people dressed in black just stormed into the house while we were all watching TV, grabbed me, and just started like hitting my calf with something that they didn't know what it was? Sure, it's only a highlighter and they're playing a game, but like, do you think my parents know that, dude? Do you think my parents have any clue what's going on if you just run into my house playing this game? That's how you get a felony charge, because that's literally home invasion. Some parents just won't let their kid take the L, and trust me, if you're ever at the point where like you're about to do a breaking and entering home invasion and interrupt some random person's family time with their family because your kid lost at a neighborhood game, you're one of those people and you should probably just chill out, because that's not going to teach your kid anything, dude. Like, oh yeah, dad, this kid tagged me. I know, son, let's go hide in his backyard and basically do a home invasion. That'll teach him never to tag you again. It's like, nah, bro, it's just gonna make everybody aware of the fact that you're a crazy person, because that's what crazy people do. Like, only really, really crazy people are ever out there. Oh, hey, what's poppin'? I'm just here to let you know that I've been waiting in your backyard for 3 hours because your 12-year-old kid was playing a neighborhood game and beat my son at it, even though my son is constantly breaking the rules and hurting other people. Like, it would be one thing if I cheated or did anything dirty, but I just beat the cheater at his own game, bro, and it's not even cheating. As I've said, I don't know how it's against the rules to sneak up at somebody in a game called Assassin. Anyways, after that garbage explanation, my dad ends up telling this guy in like no uncertain terms that if he ever comes around the house again, he's gonna call the cops, after yelling at him that he's out of his mind and like he had the mind to beat him up and all that and whatnot, which I know some people in the comments are gonna be like, oh, violence is never the answer, but I don't know. If I'm ever a dad and like a grown man is hiding in my backyard trying to like bait my son to come outside so that way he can tag him for a game and teaching his son that it's okay to do the same, yeah, I don't, my response would probably be pretty similar, because like, that's insane, dude. I don't know why some people just do horrible things with their kids and then are all surprised Pikachu when they turn out bad. Like, if you teach your kid that the proper response to someone pissing them off is to wait in their backyard, you can't be surprised when you're a kid inevitably goes to prison, because, it's just a matter of time until he does that to the wrong person, or something worse happens to your son. Let's be honest. Like, if you're in certain states, okay, I'm on the West Coast, it's not happening. You're in Texas or something, that's a dangerous game to be playing. I would just not want to take the gamble, which, it's just not worth it, dude. But yeah, basically I had a grown man stalking me because I beat his kid at the marker game and literally told my dad to his face that he was willing to just break into the house in the middle of us all watching TV to get me out if it meant that it would make his son look better in terms of the neighborhood. And what's even crazier than that is like, his plan was to just go tell everyone in the neighborhood that they did that. He didn't expect every other parent to be like, oh my god, you're a crazy person, and not want their kids playing with his kid anymore. He just thought everyone would be like, oh yeah, that's a perfectly normal, valid response to a neighborhood game. Anyways, after that, the dude kind of got the hint and ended up staying away, which, my dad's not like very scary, but yeah, it's probably a wake-up call when you're like tackled on the ground late at night in the middle of someone else's backyard with your kid getting yelled at because you took the highlighter game too seriously. I don't know if he was just too embarrassed or like realized he was a grown man, maybe a little bit of both, but they never came around after that. But the bad news is the game also ended up stopping after that, because once all the other parents heard about what happened and like the incident, they obviously just didn't want their kids getting involved involved because the last thing they wanted is, parents fighting all over the place and whatnot. And that Derek kid still was taking it seriously. Like, after it came out that his dad came over and basically was trying to break into the house to get me, nobody wanted to play. And then kids started telling their parents about Derek, like, running them over with bikes and whatnot and showing them all the road rashes they had. And parents really weren't cool after that because they just thought the game, like, took things too far, which really sucks because the game was a blast. It was literally just that one kid that would take it too far, and he really just had to ruin it for everybody. So, Derek, if you're watching this and you know who you are, thanks for ruining it, bro. We had a great time until you showed up, and I hope your dad is doing better, no longer trying to hunt kids down to beat them at neighborhood games, bro, because he probably needs a therapist or something. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought of the video. Go ahead and comment the word, highlighter down below. If you've made it this far, just lets me know that you guys are getting to the end of it, and I would appreciate it, and it helps me get more views. As I've said, if you're new, subscribe, turn on notifications. I post videos every single day, and you don't want to miss it. And if you want more content, I do have a podcast known as the Scuffed Cast. I'll put a link at the top of the description. We post pretty often, and it's pretty fantastic content over there. Other than that, couple more things that I gotta plug. My TikTok is at Scrubby Stories and at Scrubby with 2 S's. They are both mine. Check out the merch, OG Sub Club and the Haha merch. They're both pretty fantastic if I do get to say so myself, but I am pretty biased. And other than that, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Don't get anybody pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys all next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. If you guys are, then trust me, it's about to get better, because today I have a pretty good story time for you guys. Basically, one time me and my friend had to, like, low-key kind of stalk his dad for a bit to figure out what he did for a living, because he was acting super incredibly sketchy about what he did, and my friend really just wanted to know. So, we kind of James Bonded and felt like ninjas for a bit, so I figured you guys would enjoy the story. So, yeah, press the like button, or no joke, no scam, you'll get visited by a ghost, and let's get into it. I know that bitch like me. Yeah, looking fresh, all white Nike. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, what's poppin' and oppin'? I had a friend in high school who, not that it mattered, but his parents were kind of crazy rich. Like, they were the type of rich dude where he had a bowling alley in his house at one point before they moved to a different one. Like, his parents were kind of loaded. It didn't matter, that wasn't why I was friends with him, but it was just like something that was a factual statement. The one thing that I guess was kind of weird about it was that he had no clue what his dad did for a living, which wasn't too weird, I guess, for him not to know. But obviously, there's a reason this video is a thing now, so we decided that it was a little weird and wanted to get to the bottom of it. One day, I'm in his backyard with him, and we're hanging out, and he hits me with some weird news I didn't expect to hear when I came over that day. He says that the reason he doesn't know what his dad does for a living is that every time he asks his dad gets, like, really weird and sketchy about it, which is a little bit bizarre. Like, imagine your own kid being like, hey, what do you do for a living? And you just start acting like you hit a body in a dumpster in, like, 1974, dude. You are Ted Bundy. They got the wrong guy. Like, genuinely, man, if your kid asks what you do for a living, it's not the time to ask sketchy, but regardless, at this point, he hasn't told me what he's done that's sketchy, so I'm like, okay, well, can you explain to me a little bit? Because saying your own dad is sketch is just a little bit bizarre, and for some reason, people in high school tend to exaggerate their parents, like, oh my god, dude, my mom is, like, literally crazy, and she just, like, won't let them stay out till 4 a.m. on a school night. Trust me, I've been there, I've been there, definitely. My parents were annoying sometimes, but you get what I'm saying, dude. I feel like when people are like, dude, my dad's so sketchy, it's because, he doesn't like Krispy Kreme donuts, which, yes, is sketchy. People should. But I did want some examples because I'm not just trying to believe this stuff and look like a dum-dum. So he says a week ago they were eating dinner and he asked his dad what he did for a living, and his dad like literally chokes on his food and asked him why he wanted to know so bad, and then like snapped that it was none of his business and to not ask again. Which, you know, is a very weird response to your kid asking what you do for a living, dude. Hey dad, what do you do for work? Shut up, kid, none of your business. I mean, I guess I'm not a parent. I don't know how I would react to my kid asking me what I do for a living. It would be pretty hard to explain that like I'm just an idiot on the internet, but hey, eventually he'll get used to it. But regardless, his dad like snaps at him, you know? But on top of that, he starts telling me that his dad doesn't really work a lot during the day. He takes phone calls sometimes, but he leaves at 1 or 2 in the morning to go places like, you know, once or twice a month. And that's when he's working, which obviously is a pretty bizarre schedule, and that combined with the fact that he's acting all sketchy and like refuses to tell anyone what he does has his son a little bit curious. But it gets even sketchier, dude, because he's asked his dad if he has any coworkers, and he said, nope, I'm the only one that works for me. And he asks his mom what his dad does, and apparently she doesn't know either, or like isn't too sure, because she gets different explanations sometimes. So keep in mind, his own mom doesn't know, his dad doesn't have any coworkers, he's going places at 2 a.m. and he doesn't work a lot during the day. I'm not saying that like there's a reason to ever stalk your own dad, but if there is, this is a pretty sketchy situation. Like, you can understand why we were all a little bit suspicious. So he decides he wants to figure out what his dad does for a living, but he wanted my help for some reason, probably because I'm the only one with crackhead energy enough to like wake up at 2 a.m. to go figure out some Scooby-Doo stuff. Because I'm not gonna lie, once you get me curious, you know, I've gotta send it. Like, oh my god, yeah, what if your dad secretly is like Pablo Escobar who escaped Colombia and had a body double? Yes, it's very unlikely, but I don't know, dude. I love trying to get to the bottom of it, figuring out the mystery. I'm basically Shaggy. I've got the hair for it, you know, I've always got the munchies, take that how you will. But heck yeah, I'm down. So my friend and I decide that we're gonna follow his dad one night and see where he goes to work. You know, I'm doing air quotes. I always do that, and I forget that you guys can't see me or see me, sorry, and like I feel really dumb after. So my bad. There were air quotes around work because obviously there's some sketchy situations among us. So at this point, we obviously need a way to track his dad because we can't like follow him, and I don't live there. Like, us backing out of the driveway at the exact same time kind of defeats the entire purpose of trying to like figure out what's going on without him knowing. And I don't live there, and considering his dad is going to work at 2 a.m., I'd rather not have to sleep in the bushes outside my friend's house and just like wait for 2 honks of the horn to know it's all clear for me to come out. So we start brainstorming how we're gonna like keep track of his dad, you know, at night just to see what's going on. And we come up with the idea of using an old iPad Touch and or not iPad, iPod Touch, sorry, like the old ones, the colored generations where it was like the red casing with the white screen, you know, there was the blue ones, the green ones, all those different colored ones. Yeah, like we had one of those that was pretty old. Like, it was new at the time, but it was already like a couple years old. And you know, as I said, my friend was kind of balling out, so he had a new one and he's like, yeah, we can use that. And I had a portable charger, so we decided to put that in the trunk of his dad's car. And then my friend also had a hotspot at the time, like one of those small ones that the boomers used to like hook up their Blackberries, and we put that in the trunk too. So it was connected to the internet, and we added it to a Find My Friends account, you know, with just us. And yeah, sure, like we weren't the CIA, obviously. Like, we didn't have any government funding. We weren't out here being big brain, massive geniuses or anything. But for 2 idiots trying to like follow someone's dad, it was pretty impressive. Okay, for us, for somebody who makes story times on the internet, I'm gonna give myself a little bit of credit because I don't know, I was an engineer for a day. There you go, Mom. I'm not going back to college, but one time I used an iPod Touch to stalk someone's dad, so there's that. I also don't really consider it stalking because it was his dad and like it was his idea, bro. It's not like any of this was my idea. I was just kind of along for the ride. I was like, yeah, sure, I've been roped into stupider things. Why not? So the first night, his dad doesn't go anywhere. The same does happen for like 1-2 nights. I don't remember how many nights it took exactly, but it was probably like 2-3 nights down the line. from us originally putting the iPod in the trunk with like our little tracking system, our ghetto tracking system. After that, though, I get a text at 2 a.m. asking if I was ready, and I'm responding like half asleep because I had my ringer on full blast, and I'm like, yeah, I'm putting on like my pants backwards trying to get ready to like go do this thing. Anyways, by the time he gets to my house, I'm a little more woken up, and I'm excited at this point because like obviously when I was a kid I looked up to James Bond a lot. Who didn't? He was cool as heck. And like I'm literally gonna be a spy right now. I'm about to be an A1 steak sauce level spy going around figuring out mysteries, dude. Maybe figuring out that his dad is like an evil mastermind, Dr. Doofenshmirtz level villain. That would be pretty crazy, wouldn't it? How do you deal with the fact that your own dad is Dr. Doofenshmirtz? Oh no. So my friend comes to pick me up and I ask him where his dad is, and he said he's behind a home improvement store that happens to be blue. And obviously that's a pretty weird place to be at 2 a.m. So we go and we turn off our headlights like we're creeping the car, and sure enough, dude, his dad's car is behind this shopping center, specifically this home improvement store, and there's another car next to it. And this is like a really big shopping center, and the main store in it is this like home improvement store. So we get out and start kind of investigating, trying to figure out if they're like hiding somewhere. Keep in mind we're behind the store, so there's like, the things that they put dumpsters in. They kind of take these cinder blocks and like use them to wall off the dumpster, so that way, I don't know, people can't steal the dumpster. I don't know, but you guys know what I'm saying. So we're kind of creeping around, and like we start going towards the door on the back of this building, which is in between the little like dumpster building and the door, and in the gap between there's like nothing to hide behind. And as we're creeping out there, dude, the door swings open, and we see like people coming out. Like we hear people coming out, so we turn around and like dive back behind the little dumpster building. I scuffed my knee up pretty bad. It was not pretty fun, but obviously we like have to hide because there's people coming out and we don't really know what's going on. And as we dive behind the dumpster and start peeking out, praying that we haven't been seen, we see his dad and like this ginormous bald dude, like this ripped tall bald dude, just kind of walking, and they're talking, and we overhear just a little bit. So his dad and this dude are talking, and we overhear something, and he says something like, we've got a couple more buildings, and then like I'll pay you $15,000 for the night. Now I don't know about you, dude, but the idea of a boss making enough money to pay $15,000 a night to somebody working for him is like pretty bonkers to me. Okay, oh yeah, your cut of the money I'm making, 15 grand, like huh? So they leave, and me and my friend get back in his car, and I ask if he recognized the other dude, and he says no. So obviously, since we're stupid and teenagers, we start like doing all these crazy conspiracy theories about it, and we really can't settle on a theory where like, well, maybe your dad's a drug dealer, maybe they launder money, maybe he's in the mafia. Like, obviously just coming up with all these crazy theories, because listen, I don't know about you, but like, come on, we don't know if it's illegal right now, but doing it secretly in the middle of the night with tons of money on the line and like getting weird about it when anybody asks about it is pretty sus behavior. At this point, we are 99% convinced that his dad has to be wrapped up in something sketchy, because he's acting sketchy, dude. And like, yeah, meeting in the back of a parking lot behind a shopping center and like creeping into the building and coming out and talking about the thousands and thousands of dollars you're making in a single night is kind of like evil villain behavior. That's how Syndrome from The Incredibles got his start, definitely. But whatever, we can't settle on a theory, they're just all kind of floating around. And obviously, at the same time, we're also getting a little bit into it, because we're like riding the adrenaline high of feeling like ninjas or spies, because we had basically just successfully done like a little spying operation, tracked him down, like discovered all these things hidden behind a dumpster. We were feeling pretty cool about it too. So my friend decides, he's like, look, that was great, but do you mind if we follow him again? And so that way I can like confront him and ask him questions. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the best idea. And he's like, Ryan, please, like I need to know, like this just made my curiosity even worse. Now I really need to know, and I don't want to do it alone. So I decide, because I'm an idiot, that like, yeah, sure, why not? What's the worst that could happen? That's always what they say. Anyways, we commit to like following him again to, figure out what's going on and turn this mystery job into reality, kind of take it out of the shadows like that Smash character that you haven't unlocked yet. You just kind of got to keep it going. Regardless, my friend starts telling everybody about his super sketchy dad, because I think he just kind of, wanted some attention from it, which is fine. No biggie. Like, I get get it. That's why I tell stories on the internet, bro. Trust me. And as he's telling people, more and more people are like, dude, I want to come. I want to help. I want to help. And sure enough, by the end of the day, we have like 5 people that are willing to help us. So we're all talking now. And when you have 5 people kind of crafting a conspiracy theory, suddenly it's way easier to get like more and more ridiculous, dude. So we're all just kind of sitting around coming up with crazy theories about what it could possibly be. And the fact that like the dude he was with was ginormous didn't help either. Like if I was ever gonna come up in my head with, you know, oh, that's the type of guy that definitely throws people to the bottom of the lake with cinder block shoes. Like it would look like that guy, dude. It looked like a Hitman Absolution edit, but with steroids. So all 5 of us are kind of sitting around, and obviously everyone's pretty excited to like be involved in this because it was fun, dude. Like genuinely, we felt like we were spies trying to figure out some big mystery, and feeling a part of something is cool. Like, yeah, I understand, obviously we were just teenagers doing stupid things, but that's some of the most fun you could possibly have, is when you and your friends are just like goofing off, having a good time. So for a few nights, again, there's like nothing going on, but one night we all get a text and only me and one other person reply. Like the whole 5 that originally were involved at 2 a.m. just didn't check their phones, and I can't blame them. I'm definitely a crackhead for being willing to do this stupid stuff, but whatever. Yeah, I get up at 2 a.m. again to send it, and all 3 of us end up getting in the car. I'll skip the details of all that going down because, you know, we open the door and get in the car, and this time we go to his dad's location, and it's a different spot, and it's like a small shopping center, you know. It's definitely not anywhere near as big as the other one, which was like one of the biggest ones in town. This one has 3 small stores in it, and we see his dad in one of the buildings with the same guy, like the ginormous bald dude that we'd seen him with before, and they're just kind of standing there talking. And we're in the car just kind of looking in through the window because, you know, we didn't really want to like get caught. And my friend decides, he's like, I'm gonna confront my dad. And I tell him, hey, I don't know if that's a good idea, but before he can listen to me or like even lets me get a sentence out of my mouth, dude, he just hops out of the car and starts like running towards the shopping center where his dad is talking to this dude. So he's just storming towards the store. So me and the other kid, wanting to help him, like hop out and run after him. So we're all going towards this super sketchy situation. I'm really hoping that his dad isn't involved in a criminal enterprise right now, because I really don't want to end up in a barrel like the first episode of Ozark. Like I'm trying to go home and sleep tonight and go to school tomorrow. And yeah, if his dad's involved in some sketchy stuff, then like all 3 of us just walking in the middle of them doing sketchy stuff. Only one of us is his son, you know, like, yeah, he's probably safe, but what's his dad gonna do if I show up looking like, hello, sir, I have no reason to do anything here, and I have just witnessed your crime. So my friend swings open the door and storms in all mad and starts like yelling at his dad, asking for his explanation, dude. And his dad pulls out a glizzy, and I'm not talking about a hot dog, and me and the other guy like hit the ground, but my friend just keeps yelling like it's perfectly normal, as if this is just, oh yeah, another Tuesday storming in at 2 a.m. to your dad, and he whips out the glizzy because he's like expecting you to be a robber or something. And finally I hear his dad start yelling back like it's normal, and I'm still on the ground wondering like how the hell we got here, dude, which is probably fair enough. If there ever was a time for me to be like, how did I get here, now would be the time. Out of everything I've done, this is probably the time I was like, I should just not be here. Something about laying on the ground of like a small little shopping center at 2 a.m. while your friend and his dad are screaming at each other when you could be in bed wrapped up like going to sleep. It's just not as fun, dude, trust me. I'm still laying on the ground, and I guess his dad puts the glizzy away, and he tells us to get up, so we do. And his business partner, when we get up, looks like so confused, which definitely is fair enough. Like, imagine you're just doing business, man, and like these kids walk in. Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to interrupt your secret nighttime business with our Chuck E. Cheese birthday party where we're pretending to be spies. That's definitely our bad. Like, I can't blame them for being annoyed at our presence. And yes, we look like a bunch of idiots. Like, we run in, 2 of us kind of like fall to the ground, the other one's yelling at his dad, the bald guy's like, what hell, huh? Do you know these kids? Like, should I call someone? Is this allowed? So I'm just kind of taking in the scene, and I realize that, like, obviously we are not supposed to be here. We're in the middle of a vape store, right? Which definitely is not my normal type of store. I actually don't vape. If you do, I guess power to you. It's just not my thing. We're in a vape store, man, and we're looking around. There's the bald guy who looks confused. There's me, the other kid, who definitely are terrified now because we just thought we were about to get blapped. There's my friend who's still looking pissed at his dad. And then there's his dad, who looks so pissed, man. Like, he genuinely is looking like the anger emotion from Inside Out. You know, the red guy where his head is like popping off at all times? That's how angry he looks, man. And my friend is still pressing him. Like, even with this much anger on his dad's face, he's like, I want to know what you do for a living. Like, you have to tell me. I'm entitled to know, blah, 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 blah. And he's like really getting up in his dad's face about it. And, you know, it's not something I would do. But his dad is like, oh, you really want to know? Like, do you really want to know? And my friend is screaming yes. And his dad rolls his eyes and he starts like talking with a lot of sass in his voice, you know, like an old man who's about to make his son look very stupid levels of sass. And once your parent starts to get condescending, it's always terrifying because, you know it's about to hurt. And he starts explaining this like all pissed off, and he's saying that when I was your age, and he's pointing at his kid, I knew I wanted better, so I started saving, and when I was 25, I bought a commercial property, which for those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically a shopping center, and then like you rent the shops out to businesses to make money back on the investment. It's a pretty good investment, you know, and he says that since then he kept working really hard and kept investing and buying more and more, and now he has 15 different shopping centers and commercial developments that he owns, so he doesn't have to work, which would explain obviously the fat stacks of cash. 15 commercial properties is quite a hefty amount of bands. But beyond that, dude, it would also explain like we're always behind shopping centers or in shopping centers. It's because he owns the building the home improvement store was in, and he owns this thing with the vape shop. And at this point, we're all feeling very, very stupid for doing this, you know, all the conspiracy theories that we had been coming up with, like, obviously now look stupid, because when you hear the real explanation, it's hard to pretend that, oh, maybe he's with the CIA and they're finding aliens makes any types of sense, because this is way more logical. But the only thing still bugging us, obviously, is like why he's doing it in the middle of the night. And his dad says that this guy is an old friend that used to do all the inspections for his building, but now he has a day job running his own business, so he's doing this on the side for like money. And since he's always helped him, his dad's willing to do it since it's the only thing he still has to do. So I guess his friend did property inspections, and at night there's no one in the store, so it's easier to do it, and he runs his own business. So my friend is like, okay, well then why do you act so sketchy whenever somebody asks what you're doing? Like, why does mom not know? Why do I not know what you do for a living? Like, isn't that a little bit bizarre to you? And his reasoning was that he didn't want his son to be lazy and think that money was super easy to make, and because he knew he wasn't busy all the time, he thought if he like explained to his son how this worked, that his son wouldn't ever develop a work ethic, and he didn't want his son to be like one of those rich kids that was spoiled. And you know, that's pretty admirable to me, considering how many spoiled rich kids I've bumped into throughout my life, dude. The idea of one of the parents being like, no, I don't want my kid to turn in a terrible version of everything that I once hated. Yeah, it was pretty refreshing, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, at this point, we all feel stupid, dude. We have a huge amount of egg on our face, but whatever. I apologize, and his dad obviously like kind of forgives us, but is still pretty weird about it. And after that, you know, as much as I would love to say the story has a happy ending, like our friendship kind of ended after that, just because it was super awkward to go to his house. His dad didn't really like me after that, and I can't blame him, dude. He thought somehow that I roped his son into it. Not the case, dude. Not my idea. Not my idea at all. But whatever, you know, don't cry over spilled milk. Not to mention, I did kind of get to be a spy for a bit, so that was cool, you know, +5 experience for me. But whatever, dude. Yeah, that's just kind of how we figured out that this dude's dad had a secret job and figured out what it was. I thought you guys would enjoy it. Hopefully you did. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought of the video. I would appreciate it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, check out the haha merch like I mentioned earlier, link in the description. If you want something else though, you can also head on over to G Fuel, which is the ultimate gamer energy drink, and use code Scrubby at checkout for 10% off. It's a pretty swag-tastic code. Feel free to use it. Other than that, my TikTok is at Scrubby Stories, Instagram at Scrubby, Twitter at Scrubby_69. Follow me on all of those to never miss out. I have a couple more channels and a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. All that will be in the description as well. And yeah, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am. Today, though, I have a story time for you guys that is pretty entertaining about the time when I was 4 at the water park and this dude's dad literally tried to fight me. A grown man fighting a 4-year-old. Real talk, it should be pretty entertaining, and a big happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you're having a good one with your families. Be sure to press the like button, or no joke, no scam, you will be cursed and a grown man will try to fight you. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Boom bada bing, sling zing zing.
Ain't no hand up, say, oh, you I know that bitch like me. Yeah, looking fresh, all white Nike.
Alright guys, so as I said, today is the story time of the time someone's dad tried to fight me when I was a little 4-year-old kid at the water park, which is genuinely insane, alright? I'm not quite sure if there's anything that could make me want to fight a 4-year-old, but regardless, I guess sometimes in life it happens, dude. Kids can get under your skin, you just gotta throw down in the middle of the public park, show everyone who's boss. So there's this water park in the neighborhood park by my house, and when I was a little kid, it was basically the coolest place to be ever because I was a little kid and it was a cool water park. There were these two like water cannons on it that were super sick. They were on these swivel turrets and they came out of the ground and they had pretty good water pressure. And the theme of the water park was like pirate themed, so on the ground was like a painting of a pirate ship and the cannons were where the cannons were supposed to be. There wasn't literally like a plastic pirate ship, okay? It was a public park, but you know, I could use my imagination because I was a little kid. So whenever little kid me would go there, you know, I was rolling around as the pirate god, Johnny Depp in it. Somebody call me Captain Jack Sparrow because I was up in the vibes. And obviously one day I'm like begging my mom to take me to the water park. I'm really trying to just get out there and play pirate, dude. I'm bored of being inside, and she relents and she takes me to the water park. And we pull up and I immediately run over to the water cannons. But when I get over there, there's like one kid who has his hands on both cannons on one time. Like it's literally one kid doing the Spider-Man stretch to like pull the both water cannons at once. This dude is literally recreating that scene from Spider-Man when he's trying to hold like both the pieces of the boat together with his webs and he's like, freaking out. Tom Holland being ripped. People say I look like Tom Holland. Instagram at Scrubby, by the way, always plug. He is literally full stretch to be touching both. Like we're both little kids, you know, 4-year-olds. So this dude is literally almost full eagle spread to be controlling both cannons at one time, and it doesn't look very comfortable. Like it looks like somebody trying to do the splits that's never practiced it before. You're not quite sure if they're just stuck like that or, you know, if they just not sure how to get out of it. I genuinely just didn't know if this kid even meant to try to be controlling both. So obviously I do the logical little kid thing and I walk up and ask for a turn on one so my imagination can get to pirating and not looking at this kid doing some weird yoga moves to try to control two water cannons at once. And even then, man, you ever heard the saying that like no one man should have all that power? Dude, I'm just saying no one kid should control two water cannons. That's a little too much power for one person. My goodness, presidents get corrupt enough and we're gonna give somebody the power of both water cannons on the pirate ship? I think that's gonna lead to somebody with some serious ego issues. The kid just looks at me with this face of disgust, man, and I'm gonna be honest, it looks like I just asked him to sniff a rancid fart. Like, not like I just asked for a turn on a water cannon. He's looking at me like I just asked him the most insulting, degrading question ever, and I literally just asked if I could have a turn on one of them, because he's got his hands on both of them. And he's just kind of sneering at me at this point, and he snaps and he's like, this is my park, and I need to get out of this way, because he's playing with them and they're his, and he doesn't have to give anyone a turn. Which, like, alright, okay, that's a little bit rude, you know, I may have only been 4, but even I realized 2 obvious things about this dude. A, he was rude and his breath smelled like anchovies. Like, how you gonna be so young and have such awful breath, dude? You're 4. You have the teeth of a crackhead. I know those are your baby teeth, but Jesus, dude, like, I take better care of them. And B, parks couldn't be owned by one person. Like, even if you were a cool kid, okay, you didn't own the park. That's not how it works. Even 4-year-old me was aware of the idea of public property. So, you know, obviously at this point, I'm looking at this kid hogging both water cannons. He's just kind of being a jerk, saying he's not gonna give me a turn, and then saying that he owns the park, which I know for a fact isn't true. And I'm like, dog, it's just not that deep. Just give me a turn on the water cannon. So I point out the obvious, which is that he didn't own the park and that he really had no right to like be hogging both water cannons. And you know, if you've ever talked to somebody who's just being a jerk, the problem with like pointing out the obvious or the logical things is they're not logical people, dude. They're just built with brains that don't work right, you know? You could be like, hey, you eat milk with cereal, and they'd be like, nah, I eat my Apple Jacks with orange juice. Like, they're just weirdos. It's just not a very good system. And when I tell him that he doesn't own the park and he has no right to be hogging the water cannons, dude, he looks at me and I can tell immediately that he did not like that statement whatsoever. So he decides that he's just had enough of me. So he goes to blast me with both of the water cannons at one time. And like I said, he's kind of stretched out and he has his hands on both of them. So to pull them into us, he has to like cross his arms. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has to pull inward. So he does it with some anger behind it. Like, he's trying to teach me a lesson. So he pulls in his arms to like cross them inward, and they swing inward with a bunch of speed. And when his arms cross inward, the cannons come in and they could turn almost like 180 degrees ish, not 360. And it just blasts him right in the face, like both of them. And one of the cannons just shoots right up his nose. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, for a public park, these cannons did have some pretty high water pressure. So he's trying to act all cool. He swings these cannons around, blasting himself in the face. One of them blows right up his nose, which I'm sure did not feel very good. Even just swallowing water down the wrong pipe doesn't feel good. Getting water up your nose the few times I've done it doesn't feel good. Now imagine a water cannon just blasting it up your nose when you're completely unprepared for it, dude. Blasting him in the face point blank. My bad, I can't talk. So after blasting himself in the face and shooting water up his nose, though, there was these little like rubber stopper things on the spinning part of the cannon that prevented them from spinning 360, you know? Like, they were just these little rubber grommets that were supposed to gently kind of bounce the cannon back the other way if you were swinging them. Well, because this dude had like literally yanked with all of his little kid might, these cannons are flying. So when they smack into the rubber stoppers, instead of like gently coming to a stop, it did what rubber does and just kind of like pushed them back out. Well, because we're little kids and we don't weigh a whole lot, when they go flying back out, his arms uncross and the handles kind of fly outward, and it throws him forward. So all of his weight goes flying, and he face plants hard. Like, he smacks his face into the ground, and it just does the whole like, you know, when somebody's skin kind of hits the ground and it doesn't even sound like a thud anymore. You can just hear the slap of the air just rushing out from the side of his face as it hits the ground. But keep in mind, he somehow has managed to do this all to himself, dude. And I knew he face planted hard too, because he didn't move right away. And like, you know, usually if you kind of get hurt and you're little and it's not too bad, you just kind of pop up crying and like, oh wow, that hurt. And he slowly gets off the ground and there's like a little pool of blood on the ground, not a whole lot of it, and he's holding something in his hand and it's white, like a little white gem. It almost looks like he's holding a pearl, but like a little more rectangle. So after that though, he turns and like growls at me, and when he does that, he shows his teeth, and I remember just seeing this giant gap where one of his two front teeth used to be, dude, because one of them is gone. He had literally knocked out one of his two front teeth by himself trying to blast me in the head with water cannons, which, you know, I'm not saying karma is a thing, but like, no, you can't have a turn and then knocking out your unfront tooth by face planting after swinging the water cannons too hard and it blasting up your nose is kind of hilarious. Like, imagine how that went down in his head. Oh, I'm gonna show this kid who's boss. How dare he have the balls to ask for a turn? Oh, I'm gonna turn these water cannons on him, and then just blasting himself in the face and giving him the good old baby tooth removal. Anyways, he's glaring at me now, and I realize that the thing he's holding in his hand, that little pearl thing, is actually his tooth. Like, he's holding his tooth in his hand. And I start laughing because, like, this entire situation is ridiculous. I just watched something that could have won AFV live in the flesh. This dude knocking himself out, self-ownage to the max. And he just starts screaming bloody murder, dude. He's not even saying words. Like, you know when you're a little kid and you're just hurt and it's just like that level of thing, dude. That's what he's doing. And I see this giant dude kind of running in our direction, and I kind of figure that it's it's his dad at this point because he's running like he's hearing his son screaming, which I'm sure is horrifying as a parent. So I'm standing here laughing, this kid screaming bloody murder, and I'm seeing this grown man just in a full sprint to us, and he finally gets over to us, and obviously he starts asking his kid what's going on because he's screaming, there's a little bit of blood on the ground, and he's holding his tooth, right? And I'll put a disclaimer right now, I don't blame the dad for being confused and emotional because obviously his kid is crying and there's blood on the ground and he doesn't know what's going on. Like, I get he's concerned. Like, I'm not a parent, okay, but that would probably make me a little bit crazy if I was one, if my kid was bleeding and I couldn't figure out what was going on and some other kid was just kind of standing there laughing. Like, I understand why he was upset. I don't want anyone to hate him for that. You're gonna hate him for another reason in a second, I promise, but him being angry at the start is not why. So the dad just starts asking what's going on, and obviously he doesn't have the detective skills like I do, so he can't just put two and two together, and the kid is just kind of stammering and can't get anything out because like his mouth is hurt because he just knocked out his own tooth like a moron, because he is a moron. But the one thing he is able to do is point at me like while he's stuttering, just he's like kind of pointing at me, and I don't know if he was trying to pin all the blame on me or what, but the only thing that gets across is that he points at me. And as soon as the point comes out, dude, his dad is up in my face screaming at me, asking me what I did to his son, and obviously I'm speechless because I didn't do anything, but like I'm a 4-year-old who doesn't really know what's happening, and this strange grown man is screaming in my face. So I'm obviously just like, because I'm a 4-year-old, right? And I don't know what's going on. And even then, dude, if I do manage to stutter it out, what is he gonna believe? Oh, your own kid knocked out his tooth with a water can, and I promise I had nothing to do with it while I'm the one laughing? Like, that doesn't sound very believable whatsoever. So I'm scared, I'm nervous. And anyways, the dad doesn't believe me, and that's fine, that's understandable. But what he did next definitely was not okay or allowed at all. I was wearing a swim shirt because I was like a little kid, and my mom said that I always hated getting sunscreen put on, but she didn't want me to get sunburned, so she would just put me in a swim shirt instead because I don't know, now I wear sunscreen, but like, yo, when I was a little kid, bro, I was really not trying to stay still and have like that cold lotion rubbed all over me. Ugh. Anyways, I'm wearing this swim shirt and I'm a little kid, a 4-year-old, and this grown man grabs me by like the front of my shirt, you know, like the collar of my shirt, and lifts me off the ground with it. Now, I get being mad, bro. I get being concerned, trying to figure out what's going on with your kid, dude. But if you start lifting up 4-year-olds by their shirt to threaten them, that definitely means you're the bad guy in the story, bro. Like, regardless of how much your kid is crying, I don't know how you can lift a 4-year-old up by the shirt, see the fear in his eyes, and be like, aha, this is still appropriate. I am definitely doing nothing wrong. I don't think I've really described the dad yet, so let me do it now since I'm literally face to face with him as he's holding my collar and I've got nowhere to go, dude. I'm not trying to stereotype too hard, but you know the type of guy that definitely needs to compensate with like a big truck. He definitely needs to compensate. He is literally one of those guys. Like, that's him, you know? Facebook didn't exist at this time, but if it did, this guy would be the biggest customer of those hoodies with the really stupid sayings on the back that don't mean anything. I'm a June man who loves fighting, bacon, whiskey, and threatening 4-year-olds at the water park because my son's an idiot. Like, he would literally own every single one of those hoodies, I promise, dude. So he's got me by the shirt and we're face to face, and he has these eyes, dude, and I didn't know it at the time since I've kind of grown up. You know the eyes that somebody has when they're about to swing on you, like when somebody's so mad, they're so fed up that they're about to resort to violence? That's the look he has. Me, a 4-year-old, dude. And he just kind of like grits his teeth and says, I'm gonna ask you one more time what happened to my kid. But like, as he's saying that, dude, he pulls one of his hands back to kind of like give the illusion that he's about to punch me in the face. And I really didn't have an answer for him, dude. And he literally just says, he's like, I'm gonna beat you if you don't tell me what happened to my son. And he's pulling his fist back further like he's gonna punch me in the face. And he literally has me by my shirt in the air. And I'm 4, so I'm not very tall. It's not like I can just like, you know, put my legs on the ground and run. I'm literally in the air. There's nowhere for me to go. He's got me by the shirt. He's looking like he's about to hit me. And at this point, my life is kind of flashing before my eyes because a grown man is about to introduce his fist to the back of my head, and I like the back of my head never meeting his fist. Like, I would just prefer not to have that happen. So I decide that the only thing that I can do, and the only thing that I can even think about doing to get out of this situation, is to just start swinging my feet like a madman, just trying to hit anything I can, you know? Like, I'm not too sure if I'm actually gonna be able to get out of this situation, but whatever, I gotta try. So I just start swinging my feet like crazy, trying to hit anything that I can. Somehow, by the grace of God, dude, I managed to connect my little light up water shoes right into his crotch. And so obviously, as a grown man, when my foot just like swings into it with all my little kid might, he just lets go of me and I drop down. And I decide at that point that, like, I gotta get out of here, bro. I'm gonna use my little legs to get anywhere as fast as I can. And I decide to go to my mom because it's safer than floating in the air with this dude about to punch me in the face. So I just start taking off. I'm running through the water park like a bull in a china shop, just sprinting. I don't even care where I'm going at this point. And I look back at one point and I see he's chasing me. He is in a full sprint after me, dude. So imagine seeing a fully grown pot-belly man just full bore chasing this like little kid through a pirate-themed water park. Very Home Alone vibes. I felt like I was Kevin McAllister. Remember when he's like on the ice skating rink getting away from the wet bandits? I'm not gonna lie, it did feel pretty sick to be Home Alone for a bit. Regardless, I'm running towards my mom, and she kind of had this like camping chair set up on the grass a little bit away from the water park. She could still see everything, obviously, but she was just reading a magazine. And I'm running full speed, and she looks up and she says, "Hey, Ryan." And before I even say anything back, dude, I just swan dive right behind her camping chair because, like, I knew the guy was probably still chasing me and I just didn't want this guy to be able to grab me. Regardless, this guy is still riding my tail, and he's bigger than me and definitely should have caught up with me by now, but the fact that he was like a tubby truck owner definitely kind of saved me. I'm not gonna lie. By the grace of God, this dude was super out of shape and couldn't outrun a 4-year-old. My legs might have been short, but I was running for my life, literally running for my life. So, you know, I had to do what I had to do. And this dude must have had his adrenaline going or something, because he decides that he's gonna grab me by my shirt again and lift me up. But keep in mind, he is doing this in front of my mother, and you know, that's just probably not the best idea. Like, I'm not saying that my mom is a big woman by any means, but because she's not. She's like a really tiny little thing. But I will say that threatening any kid in front of their mother is the biggest mistake ever, dude. Like, straight up. It was out of a nature documentary when a mama bear is separated from her cubs and they are in danger. This grown man has just run up and picked up her son by the collar of his shirt out of nowhere. She has no clue what's going on. So she decides that she's gonna just go into mama bear mode. And she pops out of the camping chair and literally jumps on this dude's back and is just screaming at him to put her son down. And she's beating him, she's scratching him, she is just like doing everything she can to this guy because she has no clue what's happening. She has no context at whatsoever. And later on, when I was a little bit older and we would talk about it, she told me that she genuinely thought he was trying to kidnap me or something because I just ran over super scared, and all of a sudden this giant man was like right behind me trying to grab me. My mom is on this dude's back, attacking him like a banshee. He's still got me by the throat, like not by the throat, but by the collar of my shirt, and she's just still screaming. And at this point, people are starting to look because obviously screaming "put my son down" and fighting a man in the park gets some attention because we've all seen Dateline, all right? Everybody knows how these usually end. So at that point, people start like coming over to help, but I'm being held up by my shirt with this dude, like literally looking angry at me, with my mom going bonkers on his back. And finally he sets me down, and my mom gets off his back and runs over to me to check on me, asking if I'm okay and if I'm hurt and all that, because, you know, she really didn't know what was going on yet. She just, the first thing she sees is this dude grabbing me, and my mom's checking on me, and the dude is just kind of standing there watching, probably kind of assessing all the scratch marks he has on the back of his head and like everything else. And I think at that point he finally realized I'm like a little toddler, dude. Because once my mom got off of him and was done checking on me and like turned to yell at him, his entire tone has changed. He's all like telling my mom that his kid just got hurt and he's just trying to figure out what went down, which obviously sounds like a good excuse on paper, but you know, considering less than a minute ago you were trying to punch me in the face to try to get information out of me that like wouldn't have made your son look like a genius in the first place, and then chased me and like, you know, threatened me in front of my mom, and now you're trying to act like the United Nations outreaching with a peace treaty. My mom really was not buying it too much, and I don't blame her, dude. Like, if I was a parent and anyone grabbed my kid in front of me, I probably would not, that would not be good. And I'm not even saying I'm like a giant tough guy, okay? I'm not a fighter by any means. I'm just saying, like, people are very protective of their kids, obviously, and I get why the dude was mad, but you still can't threaten to beat a 4-year-old regardless, especially if they're not your kid. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause the video for a second. On screen is a gift card. I give a gift card away every day in the video. Whoever gets the code gets the code. It's just a way for me to say thank you to everybody who is subscribed. So thank you if you are, if you have notifications on, I really do appreciate it. And if you're not, you might as well turn them on. It's always free. You can unsub if you don't like it, and I literally give away free money, so you've got nothing to lose. I guess like 80% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, and if you are gonna subscribe, you might as well turn on all those notifications so you never miss an upload and you have a better chance at getting the gift card. And yeah, on that note, thank you so much to everybody who is subscribed. Let's get back into the video. At this point though, his kid comes up with another mom and her kid, and she starts saying that she saw the whole thing and she can clear it up. And my mom trusts her more, obviously, because like, you know, she just kind of seems uninvolved and she just wants to explain what happened. So she finally starts explaining to everyone that this kid was hogging the water cannons and that he did in fact somehow manage to knock his own tooth out by himself with the water cannons after blasting himself in the face. And the shame on his face when she's explaining this was hilarious, dude. Like, he was so embarrassed, that I'm not gonna lie, I would be embarrassed too, especially if my dad was like in the middle of trying to fight a kid because I'm an idiot. Dad, listen, I know you're gonna be mad at me, but I kind of knocked out my own tooth. Please don't fight that child. Oh my god. Which, you know, I will say too, thank God this lady did see it, because if not, I would have been screwed. I would have been having people to get to believe, to like trust me on this one, that this kid was dumb enough to knock himself out with the water cannon. Yeah, my mom was on my side, but even my mom would have been like, so you're telling me that this kid somehow knocked himself out and knocked his tooth out with a water cannon because he tried to spray you with it? And 4-year-old me would have been like, yes, that's the truth. Regardless, she keeps telling the story, and she finally gets to the point where, you know, the guy almost punched a 4-year-old, and she starts going in on him, dude. She wasn't the hero I expected, okay, but it was the hero every kid who wants to play pirates without grown men trying to fight them needs. So she just starts flaming him, asking him what type of horrible parent he would have to be to threaten a child, saying he has to be out of his mind to come to a public place and treat other people's kids like that. She's just going in on him. She's saying he's got to be a horrible parent and da-da-da-da-da. And at one point, the dude tries to like interject and defend himself, you know, by saying that I wasn't answering his questions, which is why he had to try to grab me so he could figure out what happened to his kid. And she starts flaming that, asking him how stupid he would have to be to threaten a child, and that I probably wasn't able to answer him because I was scared out of my mind because this strange grown man was picking me up and yelling at me, which was basically the truth. Because I mean, I barely knew what happened, dude. I couldn't even read at this point. Like, maybe just a little bit of reading was going on. I'm a barely 4-year-old guy, and this dude's just screaming at me, asking me to answer his questions. I'm not a criminal. I don't know how to get interrogated by the police, okay? The man finally realizes he's in the wrong at that point, and he like starts to apologize, but this lady at this point is all worked up. She's all mad that he even had the nerve to defend herself, so she's just kind of going off, and you know, my mom and I are just kind of standing there. My mom's holding me because I'm still scared, and she starts yelling that like he better get out of there or she's gonna call the cops. And the second that she mentioned the cops at all in any way, shape, or form, dude, this guy turned as white as me, like as white as a ghost. He did not look very happy about the idea of the cops coming, dude, and he grabs his kid, not by the shirt this time. I guess that's a right exclusively reserved for other people's kids at the water parks. He wouldn't ever grab his own kid by the shirt like that. And he just starts kind of like speed walking towards the parking lot. If you've ever seen the Malcolm in the Middle episode where they're wearing like the funny hats and speed walking, That was kind of what it gave me the vibe of. So genuinely, based on his reaction to the cops, I'm pretty sure now that he either had warrants out or like didn't want to explain to the cops why he had to fight a 4-year-old for some reason. Because listen, obviously he was gonna skedaddle regardless, but like she mentioned the cops and it looked like she just said Voldemort and he was Harry Potter. Like that was the level of fear in his face. So he's trying to get out of there, and I'm gonna be honest, I definitely wouldn't want to have to explain that either. Like there's no way trying to justify fighting a toddler as a grown man, especially to a police officer. Well, you see, officer, he was kind of being aggressive towards my son. He was hogging the water cannons, but still, he probably should have been a little bit nicer. And the guy would be like, dude, you're 37. What are you doing? This kid can't even read. Like, what's wrong with you? Regardless, while he's trying to escape, this new lady is having none of it. And she starts like speed walking after him, just yelling whatever comes to mind to just get as much attention over there as possible. And my mom at this point is like, yeah, we're not gonna follow him, because she knew the dude was a little nuts for even getting into it with like a 4-year-old in the first place, and she didn't really want to see what happened if we followed him. So she just kind of said at that point that we were gonna go home, and I was like, yeah, I'm alright with that. As much as I loved the pirate water park, playing pirates was definitely not on my mind anymore after that, dude. I was kind of okay with just going home and watching TV for a while. I will say though, I did get some sympathy ice cream on the way home. That was pretty cool, and I actually did get Lego Star Wars because of it, which started my video game addiction. So in a weird way, if this guy never threatened to fight me at the water park, I wouldn't be a YouTuber, because Lego Star Wars is what got me into gaming, which is what got me into YouTube. So in a very roundabout way, a grown man trying to fight me made my career. Wouldn't you look at that? Always look on the bright side, guys. However, as much as I would love to say that that's the end of it, dude, we actually did end up bumping into him a couple weeks after all of this went down in Target. I was still a little kid, obviously, but I remember this instance because it was one of like the most bizarre times ever where somebody was horrified of my mom. So we were just kind of shopping, going around the corner, and I'm sitting in that part of the cart that's kind of up at the top where they have little kids sit, obviously, because I was a little kid. I don't know why I'm having to explain to you that the little kid was in the little kid part. Anyways, we come around the corner and there's this guy there, and he recognizes my mom first, dude, because his eyes get all white and he gets all flushed again, or like wide, and he almost, looks like a bit earlier when that lady said she was gonna call the cops, like that level of nervous. And she just kind of looks at him and says, oh, hello, because my mom didn't really know what else to say. I don't know. What do you say to the person who's like trying to fight your kid? How do you do, sir? Are you feeling better on this fine day? Finally got some anger management classes? Like, I don't know. And regardless, he just starts saying like, I'm really sorry. And my mom's like, okay. And he literally abandons his cart and just starts like running towards the exit at a full sprint, dude. And my mom obviously didn't like this guy, but I don't think she was about to call the cops or anything. Like, we were just in Target. But this grown man abandons his cart and just takes off towards the exit in a full sprint. Even though nothing really happened after the park incident, like we didn't really pursue it any further, it's not like we were trying to hunt him down or anything. Apparently it stuck with him enough to like strike fear into the soul of his heart that if he were to ever see us again, he just had to run. I'm not gonna lie, it was hilarious too, because like I've never seen someone be in so much fear of my mother. She's not very scary. She's pretty short, she's just not intimidating at all. And to see this grown potbelly man that tried to fight a 4-year-old get intimidated by her was just kind of funny, because it's like, oh, yeah, you're Mr. Tough Guy when you're trying to fight a 4-year-old, but once his mom's in the room, you're gonna run away from us in a Target because you just can't handle the pressure, dude. All I'm saying is if you're gonna have like gun around fighting kids, you might as well just also be as much of a jerk to fight their mom, because it's like, nah, I pick my battles. I only like fighting 4-year-olds because they're way easier to beat up, is basically what you're saying. Regardless, that was the last time I actually have seen him since. I mean, maybe I bumped into him since, but I'm a little bit taller now, so I doubt he recognizes me or wants to fight me at this point. Seriously though, I know this story was really long. I figured I would crank out a very long story time because it's Thanksgiving and I'm thankful for all of you guys. You really do make my dream job possible and I appreciate it a lot. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. But on that note, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. If you don't know what to comment down below, just go ahead and comment the word pirate down below. Let's throw it back to pirate imagination time. If you comment, it just helps the video do better in the algorithm. I appreciate it. Other than that, my TikTok is at Scrubby Stories. I post little highlight videos on there. I also have my TikTok at Scrubby where I just kind of post funny videos. I have more content, which is obviously the Scuffed Cast. You guys can check that out. Link will be down below along with the intro song. My Instagram's at Scrubby. Twitter is at Scrubby_69. Got to keep it fresh and funny. And if you look at your screen right now, I will say that you are actually seeing the coolest, freshest, most fantastic merch to ever exist on the YouTube platform. This is the Haha merch. It's pretty fly if you're in the mood for like a Christmas hoodie or anything. It's pretty comfy. I recommend it. I wear them pretty often. And they're pretty swag-tastic. You know, I had to plug the merch. You know how it goes. You always have to stay plugging. There's also the OG Sub Club hoodie, which will be going away when the main channel hits 2 million subscribers. So if you want one of those, that's all the merch we got. Links will be down in the description. But that's everything I've got to plug. I am going to give a little bit of a corny Thanksgiving message. I hope everybody had a safe holiday with their families and whatnot. I really do. I am really thankful for every single one of you guys. This has been a pretty up and down year. There's been some highs, there's been some lows. I'm pretty sure it's been like that for everybody. 2020 overall has sucked, but a consistent bright spot has been making videos for you guys every day. It genuinely does make my day better, and it means a lot more to me than you will ever know. So happy Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for all of you guys. I hope you guys had a great holiday. And on that note, you guys know the drill. Don't get anyone pregnant, but if you are going to decide to go out there and get somebody pregnant, at the bare minimum, you've got to make sure they're hot. And on that note, I'll see you guys all tomorrow with another video, 30-minute video. Let's go, GG. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time for y'all that I think you're going to enjoy that was sent in about this dude's neighbor that ended up like blowing up their own car. I wouldn't recommend doing anything that you hear about in this video, alright? It's probably not worth it, but I figured it would be entertaining. But before we get into it, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. The next person that moves in next door to you is going to act like this, and trust me, you don't want that. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm
Alright, so I think everybody has encountered the type of person that feels like they have the capability to fix everything themselves. And sometimes, you know, people do have the ability to be really handy, fix things with ease. It's just a part of who they are. My dad is like super handy, dude. Any projects around the house, he wants to do it himself, you know, he has fun doing it. I'm not the same type of person like that. But one of my favorite things to encounter is somebody that like swears they're a handyman, swears that they can fix anything, but really has no clue what they're doing, especially with like advanced pieces of machinery. You know, if I don't know something about something complicated, that's okay. I can just kind of admit that I don't know anything about it. But I guess that this dude's neighbor that he sent in the story about was not one of those people. He had bought a car and it was just, you know, one of those types of cars where you have to have like special maintenance for it. Not super special as in like you need to send it off to Italy to get fixed, but enough where like oil changes were particularly expensive because it was a foreign car. Parts were really expensive. You could only take it to certain garages that knew how to work on it, that type of thing. And that's just the reality of owning certain types of cars. You would think you would have done a little bit of research before, you know, you bought the car and decided to own it forever. Like, hey, is this really easy to maintain and take care of? But apparently he just didn't look. And he got so fed up with having to take it to certain mechanics and having to, you know, deal with other people, having to pay them more to work on his car, that he decided he was just gonna do it himself. And this guy was an advanced do-it-yourselfer with absolutely no experience for what he was doing. The person who sent this in happened to live in a place where like a lot of people have had their homes custom built, and a lot of people pay companies to come in and build their house because they don't know how to do it. But this guy was known in the community for like trying to do everything himself, swearing he knew how to do everything. He had this little shack on this small bit of land, and while he was building it, he had actually burned it down 3 times because he had insisted on doing the wiring himself. And after the 3rd time there was a fire, they insisted that he hire an electrician to wire it himself, and he fought it basically as long as he could because he swore he knew how to do it. He had a pond in his backyard that he was going to build a drain for, and he swore he knew how to do it, and it basically just built a drain to flood the neighbor's yard instead. Like, that was the type of, no, I can do it myself this guy was. So immediately, whenever he starts telling his neighbors that he's sick and tired of paying these mechanics to rip him off and fix his car, and he's gonna do it himself, he doesn't need anyone to, use no fancy tools or special knowledge to fix a car. He's changed oil, so he knows what he's doing. And listen, there's something to be said for, maybe you don't need to pay a mechanic to change your oil if you know how to do that very well. If you don't know how to do it, I'm not gonna shame you, it is what it is. But, that's something that's within the realm of possibility. The only problem is this guy's car was starting to have transmission trouble. And that's just the type of thing that, if you don't know a lot about cars, it's probably out of your wheelhouse of things you should fix yourself, my axle broke, I might as well get a piece of wood and, fix it that way, There's certain things that you don't want to DIY fix. Whatever, your dashboard looks ugly, you want to take a crack at fixing it yourself, by all means, but I really wouldn't mess with the transmission or parts of the engine yourself unless you're a mechanic or something. And just so you know why this guy insisting on doing everything himself was super insane, he was an accountant. So it's not like he's a handyman, it's not like he works construction, it's not like he's a mechanic. He literally just does everything himself and then goes to his accountant job. So, whatever, he starts telling everyone that he's gonna fix his car himself, and a couple of the neighbors even give him the advice of hey, I wouldn't necessarily do that, that seems like a bad idea, you're probably gonna mess it up, and then you're gonna have to pay someone to fix what you messed up. But, he's a tough guy, it doesn't matter, he's gonna fix his car himself. So, whatever, one night he puts it up on jacks, and I guess in the midst of fixing his transmission via YouTube video, he also decides that he's gonna make some modifications to the car, and he decides to tell everyone about the modifications he's gonna make himself. I think in a way to flex about, oh, look what I'm gonna do to my car, look what I'm gonna do. He starts saying he's gonna put NOS in it because he was a big fan of Fast and Furious. And listen, I like the Fast and Furious movies. I watch them kind of like a comedy movie where it's alright, let's see what Vin Diesel thinks that is possible now. When in the recent movie when he flies off the cliff with the grappling gun and then holds onto it and the entire car uses the grappling line. Just some stuff's a bit ridiculous, but I would never necessarily look at Fast and Furious and go, that's what I should do to my car. But I guess this guy decided that he was going to put NOS on his car. And for those of you that don't know, it's basically this flammable gas that I don't know exactly how it works, but it kind of makes the combustion stronger in your engine, I think, so you go faster for a little. Regardless, flammable is all you gotta know about that, right? And everyone tells him when he starts bragging about this to the neighbors that it's a really bad idea to do that yourself. The transmission already a bad idea, but anything involving new lines on a car that can't be near certain temperature things, it's probably best to just, not do it by hand yourself if you have no experience doing it. Probably better to pay someone to do that than accidentally light your car on fire. Anyways, whatever. He says he's gonna have it done in a week. A week turns into 2 weeks, a week turns into 3 weeks, 3 weeks turns into 4. So it's about a month later and this guy is still working on this car. He's not even done with the transmission yet, nowhere near the NOS lines or anything he swore he was gonna do himself. But regardless, he's still bragging about it, saying it's taking him longer because he has had to redo some things, blah, 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 blah. Chances are he just kind of messed up and had to redo it because he didn't know how to do it right. And whatever, finally after a month he says that he's gonna start working on the NOS lines, which, to each their own. Like I said, I wouldn't do it myself, but, I guess it's America. And he has these bottles of it, and as I said, it's a flammable material, so he's got them in the garage, and he's obviously tinkering with lines and trying to set stuff up and blah, 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 blah. And one morning, the subscriber that sent this in wakes up to the sounds of what can only be described as a grown man crying, but not in a way that makes sense, not a stoic crying, but a grown man wailing, someone just took his puppy. And the sound of sirens and everybody else yelling, stop, stop. And it just so happens that he could look out his window and see into this neighbor's garage. And so he looks out, and in the driveway, they had pretty long driveways, there's this trailer with a car on it, and it's on fire. This thing is literally on fire, dude. It's burning. It's covered in flames. It looks like, 8-year-old you got to design a Nintendo DS. This thing is covered in flames. And obviously, they're just kind of taking in this sight. It's not every day you wake up to someone's car on fire across the street, or at least I hope not, dude. Like, if that is something you're waking up to every day, I think you should talk to your parents about maybe moving if you can. That's just really not a healthy spot to be at. I'm sure it's not good for you to be breathing that stuff in. But anyways, he's just kind of watching this, and as he kind of comes more into picture, all of the neighbors are sitting there, and they're holding back the neighbor whose car it is, and he's screaming, "It wasn't me," but like wailing in between that. And listen, dude, here's all I'm gonna say about it being you. You were messing with the flammable material, laying lines to transport flammable material near a motor that gets very hot with no experience on ever doing it before. Your car was not on fire. You start messing with flammable things, it catches on fire. I'm not saying that I know exactly what happened, I'm just saying that it looks pretty obvious what, probably went down. And obviously, the neighbors are holding him back because he's, trying to get to the car. And I just don't really know what Homeboy thought he was going to do. Okay, let's say hypothetically the neighbors let go of you. What are you going to do about the flaming car? And I'm just being honest, man. If they don't hold you back, what, you're going to run up to the fireball and, jump in it and put it out yourself? No, you're just going to light yourself on fire, and now this story time is no longer entertaining. It's just sad. So obviously everyone's holding him back, but the sirens are coming down the road and it's a fire truck. The fire trucks pull up and they start doing their thing. I don't really know what the procedure is for taking care of a car that's on fire in a driveway, but I'm sure they've got one. They tend to be prepared for these types of things. But, at that point, the subscriber's like, I'm going to get over there and get an idea of what happened. So they basically get dressed pretty quick and they run across the street. There's a bunch of neighbors, so it's not like it's that big of a deal that they pull up. It wasn't insane for them to come investigate. Obviously, it's not every day that this happens in the neighborhood. And most of the neighborhood is there, dude. Between the car fire, the screaming, the sirens, it's made enough noise now that basically anything attracted to sound within an 18-mile radius is getting closer. If this was like the movie A Quiet Place, all these people would be about to get yeeted on. But he goes over there, and the fire department is doing their thing, and the neighbor is just kind of telling everybody that he doesn't know what happened. 1 second, everything was good, and the next second, everything was on fire, right? And obviously, everyone's like, okay, well, it was probably a little bit more than that, but they don't want to argue with him right now. He just watched his car burn down. Finally, the fire department, my bad, put out the fire, whatever. And they come over and they kind of are like, hey, can we talk to you? And they start talking to him, seeing what they found, blah, 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 blah. And they say that the cause of the fire was one of the cables, what the NOS was in. It looked like someone had burned it, as if when it was going, there was stuff in the cables or the line, not the cable, the line. You guys know what I'm saying. Someone had put something hot next to it. And this guy proceeds to explain that, he had finally put the lines in and it had been pumping. He was testing it or whatever. I don't really know what his logic is. It's not like there was much logic to it. And, he had realized that there was stuff going through it, so he lit a cigarette in order to celebrate, to smoke. This guy had decided to whip out a lighter and light a cigarette dramatically close to the line and the can of flammable stuff that he had in his car, bro. So obviously, as soon as it bursted, he ran away. And what had really woken up the subscriber that didn't recognize it first was one of the cans had exploded. That had been in the car, obviously, when it catches on fire, So this guy had literally managed to cause an explosion in his car because after working with extremely flammable materials went, I'm gonna light up a cigarette, might as well. What in the world, dude? I don't know how many of you guys have seen the movie Zoolander, but there's this scene where they're playing with gasoline. They're having a gasoline fight, and then they light a cigarette, and it's supposed to be oh, wow, oh, that's awful and really dumb. This guy just completed the speed run in real life, though. Work with flammable materials, use a lighter, everything you just shouldn't do. But whatever, he doesn't seem too disturbed because he starts telling the neighbors that it's alright because the insurance is gonna cover it. And right away, the neighbors are just not really on his side anymore. And they're like, yeah, I don't think the insurance is gonna cover a fire and explosion that you did yourself with unauthorized work. And sure enough, dude, the insurance company's like, let me get this straight. You are doing something in your garage that you have no certification for, no license to do. You don't know how to do it, wiring your car, right? And on top of that, you lit it on fire yourself. You admit that, and you want us to pay for it. You're out of your mind. And he starts complaining to the neighbors about this insurance company being isn't it ridiculous that they don't want to pay for this? They're supposed to pay for damages to the car. This was damages to the car. I don't understand why they're not going to cover it, blah, 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 blah. And a couple of the neighbors, once again, try to be well, you did light it on fire yourself, so it's not like they have, that much of a reason to pay for it. Insurance is more for like accidents. Let's say that your car is struck by lightning when it's parked under a street pole and then it catches on fire. That's more what it's made for. It's not like I'm gonna light my car on fire and then get money because it's Tuesday. It's just not made for that. But whatever, this guy just doesn't get it. Finally, he doesn't get the insurance payout, so he goes out and buys another car. And within like a month or two, it has some car trouble. And listen, it's not surprising. I'm sure this guy isn't the nicest of the cars he drives. But instead of taking it to a mechanic, he puts it up on jacks and tries to fix this issue himself, right? And he's already blown up one car, so he tries to fix this one himself. You'd think he would have given up by now. And since then, it literally has not moved off the jacks, dude. Like, it's been up for weeks now. He cannot fix it. He keeps complaining to everyone about how he's not going to fix it. And he keeps blaming the insurance company. Like, oh, it's their fault that I got another bad car because insurance companies make money off car sales. Like, he has this whole conspiracy now. Moral of the story, if you don't know how to do something, it's okay to pay someone to do it. You know, it's not embarrassing, it's not cringe, it's just probably the better way to do it. Otherwise, you might accidentally blow up your car and make a fool out of yourself, I guess, is the moral of the video. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought. And of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. If you like the intro song, a link to it can be found in the description along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, and you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout in order to get a discount on G Fuel. Helps you out, helps me out, everyone's a winner. Other than that, it is October, and we've got the Halloween merch. It's on your screen now. You can check it out and go get yourself some from the top link in the description. Be sure to do that. And yeah, on that note, guys, I think that's going to do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am. Today, I've got a story time for you guys. It's a subscriber story that was sent in about how there's this dad at their local skate park that was trying to fight a bunch of kids. And honestly, stuff like that just cracks me up, so I figured we would make a video out of it. It should be a pretty fun video for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And be sure to press the like button, or no joke, no scam, your dad's gonna fight someone at the skate park. And sit back, relax, and enjoy.
It's so good, it's not good. Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk, but it's a hell of
Alright, so skate parks are a very interesting place because skaters have a lot of variation, dude. You have some kids that are like smoking so much they literally just smell like a dispensary when they're rolling by you. You have soccer moms that are there with their kids like basically wrapped in bubble wrap with a bike with training wheels, and they're not allowed to ride down any ramps because they're too dangerous. You have other kids on scooters, you know, that are just kind of doing their thing. It's just a mix of different people, and because of that, sometimes there is disagreements, and for the most part, they stay pretty minor. One thing though that obviously some parents don't seem to understand is that a skate park does have the potential for their kid to get hurt there. No skater is ever intentionally like riding around trying to knock down little kids and knock them out. But yeah, unfortunately, there are some times where a kid goes down a ramp at the same time somebody's coming up a ramp, and like accidents happen, right? And it truly is an accident. And so I guess this person who sent me the story one day was just at the skate park chilling, doing their thing, and they went over this like nipple ramp. For those of you that think that's not a real thing, it is. It's like I don't know how to describe it. A circular speed bump, I guess, is the best way to explain it. And after that, he kind of like was gonna do a trick off of it. And as he's going up this side of the nipple ramp, a little kid on a scooter comes out of nowhere and starts coming up the other side. And at that point, he has two choices. He can either bail on the trick and just kind of slam into the kid, or he can send it and potentially decapitate this kid with the skateboard, because what he was gonna do is a 360 shove it. For anybody that knows skateboarding tricks, getting smacked in the face with a 360 shove it is definitely not chill. And the kid didn't have a helmet on, so the kid just decides, instead of sending it, to just body him. And sure enough, he slams into this kid with enough force to like go up a nipple ramp, and the kid falls to the ground. There's a big smack. His scooter hits the ground, his skateboard hits the ground, they hit the ground, and immediately the kid starts crying. And the person who sent me the story gets up and starts starts asking him like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Like checking on him, genuinely trying to make sure the kid's okay. And the kid's just crying, freaking out because it's a little kid. He's probably like 4 or 5 years old, definitely young enough to the point where like when something scary happens, you just want your parents. So the kid starts screaming for his dad, and that's when out of nowhere there's like this screaming erupting from behind this kid. Oh my God, what did you do to my son? And he turns around and there's this dad there like running over all pissed. And there's a couple of older skaters there that get between the kid and the dad and are kind of like, whoa, 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 it was an accident. And he's like, well, why is my son crying? Why is my son crying? And the kid gets up and runs over to his dad and is like, they ran into me. You know, like the little kid crying where they're just struggling to get words out. And obviously I'm not a parent, but like I can understand that when your kid is crying, you're maybe not the most logical person. So he's like, who ran into you? Who? And he points at the skater kid. And at that point, the dad's like, I demand an explanation. So the kid starts kind of saying, well, here's what happened. I was skating. I was going up the ramp. He came up the ramp. I didn't see him. It was an accident. And I had to decide whether to like do the trick or just run into him. So I just tried to run into him and I'm sorry. And the dad, for some reason, is like, that's not good enough. He starts tearing into him about how it's his responsibility to make sure that people aren't coming. And like, he really could have hurt the kid. And he's lucky he doesn't have half the mind to beat the crap out of him right now. And at that point, the kid's like, I don't know who this dude thinks he is. So he starts talking back saying, dude, your kid snaked me. Like, shut up. You're not gonna do anything, you old man. Which, for those of you who have ever been to a skate park, accidents genuinely happen, especially with little kids. Like, the more you're in a skate park, the more you've been around it, you kind of learn the flow of things. You learn how to tell where somebody's kind of gonna go and you're not snaking anyone. But yeah, there's been plenty of times a little kid will like jump in my way at a skate park, you know, or I've run into guys that aren't paying attention. Like, it happens. It really is an accident. So this kid starts saying like, oh my God, it was an accident. Like, you're not gonna do anything. And the dad at that point decides that he's gonna really look tough in front of all these skater kids, you know. Grown men flexing on children is always so sick. And the dad, for some reason, does what like all old people do when they want to fight, and he takes off his shirt. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I always thought this was a really weird move when somebody wants to fight. Like, yeah, alright, we were not prepared to fight, but now that my shirt has been disengaged from my body, I am prepared for combat. And it's not even like this dad is ripped and big in a good way, dude. He takes off his shirt and it like makes him less intimidating, you know? Like, he goes from, wow, that guy probably works out, to like, oh, that guy definitely doesn't work out. And he takes off his shirt and he starts trying to get up in the kid's face to be like, what did you just say to me? But the older skaters at the park who are like adults aren't gonna let that happen, because obviously letting an adult beat up a kid is a no-no. So they get like in between the dad and the kid. And at that point, the dad starts yelling about how he's gonna fight all of them, and you know, he'll take on every skater. He's not afraid of them. And even his son, who was crying a minute ago, is now like, Dad, we can leave, Dad, we can leave. Like, even his 4-year-old son is saying that. But the dad is like, no, you guys think you're better than me and my son. And they're like, what are you talking about, dude? He starts going on a rant about how everyone at the skate park always thinks they're better than him. And this is the first time that any of these people have ever seen this dude, bro. They really have no idea what he's talking about. And as he's ranting about it, he starts like shoving the other adult skaters. So the skaters start backing up with their hands up like, dude, come on. Like, we don't want to fight you. We're just trying to chill at the skate park. And the dad is just still pushing towards him, shirtless, screaming at him. And finally, the dad like reaches back to swing on one of the guys. And the guy just like kind of tackles him to the ground. He doesn't want to hit him. He just like kind of tackles him and just holds him there. And when he's holding him on the ground, the dad is like, let me up, let me up, let me up now. Like freaking out, dude. Once he's on the ground being pinned down by the skaters, he starts freaking out. And it always cracks me up when people start freaking out after they're being held back. Like, when they're about to start fighting, you know, they're all talk. Then the second they're restrained, it's like, you're lucky I'm held back right now. So sure enough, he's freaking out and all the skaters are holding him down. And they tell the kid that ran into him to like get out of there. Like, you just get out of here. So he skates off into the parking lot and starts going to like the playground. And he calls his mom to come pick him up, obviously. And he can hear the guy kind of like yelling at them, like, get off me, where'd the kid go? And finally, he sees them kind of get up and like they're kind of talking to the guy, and he sees them shake hands. And so at that point, the dad and his kid kind of leave the skate park. He sees him get into the car and drive away. So his mom wasn't there yet. He hadn't told her that like there was a grown man looking for him. He just said he needed to get picked up because his mom already hated the skate park enough. And the last thing he needed was a reason for his mom to be like, like, no, you can't go to the skate park. I don't want grown men to try to fight you. Like, okay, mom, that's probably a fair reason. So just not telling your mom that that happened is your best bet. I don't usually advocate for that, and I'm not saying it was the right move. I'm just saying I kind of understand why you didn't say that. So he goes back to the skate park to try to figure out what happened. And when he comes back, all the adult skaters walk up to him and they're like, dude, I don't know what that guy was on, but whatever it is, it was insane. And he's like, oh, what do you guys mean? And apparently after he left, they were like on top of him fighting with him, and he was screaming at them, saying he was gonna kill him when he got up, just like going ballistic. And then all of a sudden, almost as quick as he got mad, he just like popped up and went, you know, guys, I'm really sorry for that. That was out of character. And then grabbed his son and left. Like everything was cool, bro. Genuinely, it was like he just snapped out of it, dude. I don't know if it was Bruce Banner and the Hulk, like merging or demerging or what the hell was going on, but apparently this dude like had every adult skater in the park having to hold him down because he was just freaking out so hard. And then out of nowhere is just, whatever, these things happen sometimes. That was out of character. I'm going to leave now, gentlemen. Like, what in the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is in your water around there, bro? I don't know where this dude lives. All I'm saying is I would not be trusting the tap water, because apparently it's giving, like, dads in the area steroids, bro. When this guy hears, oh, we're gonna go flip some stuff on the grill, he thinks literally the whole grill should be flipped. Anyways, after that, bro, he decided that it was probably just best to go home, so he went home. His mom was like, why'd you want me to pick you up? He decided it was better not to tell her. That was just his personal method of avoiding it. And sure enough, the guy never came back to the skate park, ever. Like, it was like as if, you know, he was too embarrassed after he realized he was being held down by a bunch of kids to ever show his face there again, which you probably should be if you're in that situation. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button and let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. Go ahead and comment the word poop sock down there if you thought this video was entertaining. If you want more content, I do have a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. A link to that can be found down below in the description, along with a link to the intro song. Anyways, guys, on that note, that's gonna do it. Hopefully, I'll see you guys next time. Follow me on Instagram at Scrubby, Twitter at Scrubby_69 if you have any crazy stories you want to submit. Oh, I almost forgot. Check out the merch link. It's also down there in the description as well. But on that note, hopefully, I'll see you guys all next time with another video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a story time for you guys that I'm not gonna lie, I had to read twice when it was sent in to me. This dude ended up getting kidnapped by his girlfriend's dad for a bit because of something that his daughter did and then blamed on him. You know, just your normal Tuesday mix-up. You ever just get kidnapped on accident? These things happen. Regardless, I figured it would be a pretty good story time, so yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, and be sure to press the like button, or no joke, no scam, you're next, and let's go.
Discord to celebrate. it's so good, it's not good. Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk, but it's a hell of a feeling.
Alright, so this guy was dating this girl when they were both 16. I'm gonna name the guy Kevin. I'm gonna name the girl Fiona. Now, Kevin and Fiona, they were dating for a bit, and obviously when they turned 16, they both really wanted to drive and get a car. Now, he was in a family situation where, you know, his parents were providing for him and whatnot, but they couldn't really buy him a car. So he got a job, worked all summer, saved up a bunch of money, and got a car. She, though, was the type of person that she didn't really have to work for that much, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. And on her 16th birthday, she ended up getting a brand new Mercedes. And when I say brand new, I mean brand new. Not certified pre-owned, not like a year old. The dad had gone out and like customized this car for his daughter's 16th birthday. It was impressive. And obviously, since they were dating, they were hanging out a lot, and because her car was so sick, she would drive a lot. And, you know, the dad already wasn't the biggest fan of this kid, and he thought it was really weird that she was driving a lot. He would be like, why are you driving? And, you know, she would explain that his car didn't have, like, any of the cool stuff her car did, and he would give her gas money. Like, he wasn't trying to rip her off or anything. It was just the cooler car. But, you know, that combined with the dad just thinking this guy wasn't a good dude. He just did not like him. He thought it was weird he didn't want to drive. He thought it was weird that, you know, he had a job. And that one's weird to me, bro. You think it's
it's weird that the guy your daughter is dating has a job? Would you rather him not? I feel like that's something that's usually a good thing. But hey, apparently to this guy, it was not. Like, the dad acted as if Kevin was gonna turn his little Fiona into just some depraved monster. Anyways, there really wasn't much that Kevin didn't really like about Fiona, but there was one thing that was genuinely disgusting to him and bugged him a lot, and it was that she smoked cigarettes. And, I've had family members that smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes myself. I think it's pretty gross. It's pretty pointless to me. It's really silly. That being said, he wasn't gonna, break up with her about it. He just didn't really like that she did it. On a list of things that he really loved about his girlfriend, her smoking cigarettes wouldn't be on the list. He didn't want to break up with her over it. If anything, he was like, hey, maybe I can help her quit, realize that, it's worth it to not give yourself lung cancer for no reason. He thought he was going to try to help her. And he could kind of deal with the smoking, but one thing that she would do that really, really drove him crazy is she would smoke cigarettes in her new car with the windows rolled up. And she would be like, well, if I only do it every now and then, the smell's not going to stick. And he would be in the car with her and he'd be like, no, trust me, it's going to start smelling like cigarettes in here, you really shouldn't do that. And she just kind of blew him off, was like, whatever, took it as just some dude trying to lecture her about how she should do something. And she would just kind of smoke a cigarette in the car once a day because she thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And one day she's smoking a cigarette in the car and he says, look, it's really a matter of time until your dad smells these cigarettes and he's gonna blame me because he hates me anyways. He's like, it's gonna become an issue and I promise you it's gonna become a problem. And she blows it off, says there's no way it's gonna be an issue, he's being ridiculous and paranoid, all the stuff that people who definitely aren't thinking of the consequences are talking about. Well, one day, they weren't together at all. They really hadn't hung out that day, and I guess her and her best friend had been smoking cigarettes in the car, and for whatever reason, there had been an issue with the car, and they had to pull over to the side of the road and call the dad to come help them because they were having car trouble. Well, I guess the dad was closer than they expected, and they didn't really have time for the smell to get out of the car. So the dad pulls up, and, it still really, really smells like smoke. So naturally, the dad starts freaking out and is like, what's going on? Why does this car smell like smoke? Do you have any idea how much money I spent on this? If you're smoking in it, I can't resell it for the same amount of money. What, how does, are you doing this? You have no respect for my property. I'm gonna take the car away. I'm pissed. The dad is pissed, and rightfully so. You buy your kid a nice car. You don't even know they smoke cigarettes. Come to find out someone's smoking in the car that you just paid a bunch of money for. You'd probably be mad too. And I guess Fiona, in, the panic of not wanting to get in trouble, decides that she's just gonna blame her boyfriend. So she says that Kevin was smoking cigarettes in the car and she didn't know how to tell him no. And obviously, the dad, already not liking this dude, doesn't really have to hear much more, and he just hops in the truck and goes, I'll be right back, we're gonna solve this right now. And she's protesting and whatnot, but he's gone, he's out of there. And while all this is going on, completely unaware of this, Kevin is just minding his own business at work. He kind of had this job where he had to walk around outside and monitor this parking lot. He wasn't a security guard, but kind of similar vibe to that. And as he's coming around the corner, he hears these tires squeal, and he turns around, and this truck is slamming on the brakes coming towards him, and he realizes that it's his girlfriend's dad's truck, and he's like, oh my god, he's about to hit me. So he jumps out of the way. The truck comes to a stop. He hears him throw it into park, and he gets out just screaming at him, get in the truck right now. Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea how much trouble you're in? Oh, I'm about to ruin your life. Get in the truck. And this kid has no idea what's going on, bro. He doesn't know that he's just been blamed for anything. He doesn't know that any of this is going on. All he knows is that this dude just pulled up, tires squealing, to his job and jumped out screaming, get in the truck. And he's like, I don't want to, but he picks him up and throws him in the car, basically. He gets in and peels out of the parking lot, and the guy still, Kevin, it really isn't sure of what's going on. All he knows is that he said he didn't want to get in the car, was at work. This dude pulled up, threw him in a car, and then left. So yeah, for all intensive purposes, he just got kidnapped by his girlfriend's dad from his job. Nobody knows where he is. He's gonna get in trouble, and he does not want to be here. It's not like he said yes sir and hopped in the truck. It was you're getting in the truck.
And in the car, he's like, what are you doing, dude? I'm at work. Are you psycho? Like, you can't just kidnap me. You know, trying to explain to his girlfriend's dad that, like, he can't just pull up and take him whenever he wants from his job. He's gonna get fired, all this stuff. And he's pissed. And the dad's like, why are you pissed at me? You're the one who's been smoking cigarettes in my daughter's car. Do you have any idea how much that's destroyed the value of the car? You're putting her in such an uncomfortable position. I knew you were a bad influence. She's gonna start smoking cigarettes. You know, I don't want her to go down that path. Da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, I don't smoke cigarettes. And the dad's like, what do you mean? My daughter said that you were smoking cigarettes in her car. Now you're calling her a liar. You're calling me a liar. He goes, no. Seriously. Look, check me right now. I would have cigarettes on me. And the dad's like, what do you mean? So he empties all of his pockets and he goes, look, I don't smoke cigarettes. Your daughter has been smoking cigarettes in the car. I've been telling her to stop. And he starts pulling up text messages of him being like, hey, you should really stop smoking cigarettes in the car. The smell's gonna stick. And listen, before anyone's like, oh my gosh, you snitched on your own girlfriend. I mean, first of all, obviously she didn't care about him that much. If she was like, go kidnap him, dad, it's okay. And even then, she tried to blame him first. It's not snitching if somebody tries to give you the rap for something they did. That's not snitching. Oh yeah, Jerry robbed a bank. Nope, it was Kevin. Then Kevin has every right to be like, nah, Jerry robbed the bank. Because that's completely different than, you know, both of you doing a crime together and you telling on an accomplice. So he's explaining all this and the dad is like, obviously kind of seeing the color drain from his face. And he's like, please tell me you're not gonna sue me. And he's like, well, I mean, you did kidnap me from work. He's like, look, I thought you were smoking in my daughter's car. You know, I'm sorry. And the guy's still pissed. He's like, let's just go handle this. If you get me back to work and I don't get fired, then we'll be good. But if you explain to my boss the situation, then we'll be golden. So they pull back up to the car and they get out and the dad is like, so you were smoking in the car, huh? And Kevin kind of looks at the ground and he's like, yeah, I was. And then Fiona's like, no, dad, it's me. I smoke cigarettes. Like, she comes clean as soon as they come back because she probably had been sitting there thinking about how awful she felt. And the dad's like, are you serious right now? You're smoking cigarettes. You blamed it on somebody else. You let me leave to go handle it without saying anything. And I come back and now you want to like admit it all? And she's like, yeah, you know, trying to get out of trouble. And the dad is pissed. He's like, well, you know what? I'm going to take him back to work and then come get you. But I would not be surprised if you don't have a boyfriend tomorrow. Like, even the dad was like, dude, you just totally threw this guy under the bus for no reason. So whatever, he takes him back to work after getting kidnapped and blamed for smoking in his girlfriend's car, which he wasn't. Thankfully, she had come clean and avoided him like getting thrown in the trunk or whatever. But still, not a very good situation. So he gets dropped back off at work. The dad goes in, explains to the boss the situation so he doesn't get in trouble. Everything's all good. He decides he's not gonna call the cops or do anything about it, which, you know, that nice guy move on him for not doing anything about getting kidnapped, you know. Anyways, Kevin gets home and he's just stressed out thinking about everything that's gone down, obviously. And he decides that he's just gonna check his phone and see what's been going on because in the just rush of everything he hadn't checked. And he checks and he has a text from Fiona and it's basically like, hey, you know, I understand if you're mad at me, but like, basically something along the lines of like, I understand you're mad at me, but you have no reason to be, basically. And at that point, he's like, you know, I just don't really feel like saving this relationship, bro. She's willing to throw me under the bus. If she ever gets caught doing something bad, she's gonna blame me. She just did. She's not even that sorry about it. And even then, we just didn't really get along as well as we used to, is what he said in the message itself. So whatever, he decides that he's gonna break up with her. So he drives over to her house, awkwardly walks past her dad and does like the hey, you know, as if he wasn't kidnapped by him earlier. Goes up to Fiona's room and proceeds to break up with her for basically being the worst, you know, and she's kind of like flabbergasted by it, which is the most confusing part of the story. You can't be surprised that he was kind of annoyed with you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what do you mean that's frustrating? Like, yeah, that'd probably frustrate anybody in that situation to get snitched on and then kidnapped. But yeah, whatever. After that, that was basically the end of that. But don't get kidnapped by your girlfriend's dad is moral of the story, and make sure that people won't just make stuff up and blame it on you if they did it. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought of the video. And as I've said, subscribe if you're new and turn on those noties. If you're in the market for some G Fuel, which is the best energy drink of all time, you can use code SCRUBBY at the checkout. It gives you a discount, helps me out, helps you out, and I really appreciate it. Other than that, if you like the intro song, you can check it out. Link will be down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuff
Southcast, which is pretty darn cool if you ask me. But yeah, on that note, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, but I'm telling y'all right now, this story time we have today is about somebody that probably had the worst day ever. I'm not too sure why he sent this in to be talked about here on the channel, but basically, this guy's girlfriend ended up kissing his dad while they were at dinner one time. And yeah, as you can tell, a very, very awkward situation. Regardless, nonetheless, we figured we could talk about it today on the channel, and yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Press the like button or no joke, no scam. This is gonna happen to you, and sit back, relax, and enjoy.
And I got eyes like an eagle, stacking so much money you would think that it's illegal. I'm getting quiet now, laying low when you reach someone biting down, making out, stack the bread, cause you love the sound, just so.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the person who sent in this story happens to be a little bit older, you know, usually the demographic's a little bit younger, but this guy was in college, and, you know, away at college, relationships tend to get a little bit more serious. You have a little bit more freedom, you know, your parents aren't there to tell you what you can and can't do, and naturally, because your parents aren't there to tell you what you can and can't do, sometimes you make some questionable choices. However, this guy was pretty sure that this girl he was talking to was the opposite of a questionable choice. He was like, this girl's perfect. I can't wait to bring her home and introduce her to my family. It's gonna be fantastic. And the girl, we're gonna call her Ashley for the purposes of this story, was the type of girl that, you know, seemed fantastic on paper, bro. She was like very nice, very polite, but for some reason, all this dude's friends like really didn't like her. They were constantly telling him that she was bad news and to get away from her, and he was like, that's weird, but they would never tell him why. They didn't really have proof or anything specific. They could just tell that they got a weird feeling off of her. And he didn't want to be the guy to like break up with a girl because the vibes of the boys were off, you know what I mean? So he decided to just keep dating her. Anyways, he was really crazy about her, so as I said, he decided that he was going to take her home to meet the parents. And so over Christmas break, she was going to come back with him for 2 weeks to stay with his family in his hometown and like get to know everybody, and everything was supposed to be great. So obviously, you would expect your significant other to be nervous before they meet your parents. That's perfectly normal. Nothing bizarre about that dude. But on the way, his girlfriend started asking him questions about his dad. Like, what does he look like, you know? Does he just look like you but older? And he ended up pulling up a picture of his dad and showing this girl. And the first thing that came out of her mouth wasn't like, you guys look alike or anything. The first thing she said was, oh, your dad's really hot. Which, you know, listen, it is very weird to hear about your parent, bro. The last thing you ever want to hear the person you're dating say is that your parent is hot. Like, please, no thank you. Please don't tell me that, dude. That is the last thing I'd ever want to hear. And he thinks it's weird and like gets mad at her for it. And he's kind of like, dude, why would you say that? That's just uncomfortable. And she's like, no, I was kidding. I was kidding. But he could tell by the way she said it that, like, it wasn't a joke, you know? But she plays it off as joking, and considering they're already on the way to stay at his parents for 2 weeks, it's a little late to back out now. So he just, like, tries to brush it off, and it's no big deal. Anyways, bro, they, like, get to his house. They're introducing everybody. The girl meets his dad and is super, super polite, you know, shakes his hand, gives him a big hug. Everything's going great. And then his mom comes out, and for some reason, his girlfriend is nowhere near as nice to his mom. It was just a little bit bizarre. It was almost like there was some awkward beef in the air, you know? And the mom and dad are kind of like, all right, well, we're gonna go to bed. You guys have a great time hanging out. Do whatever you want to do. It was great to meet you. They stayed up a little bit just to make sure that, like, they got there safely, but at that point, they're just gonna go to bed. So the parents go to bed, and the girlfriend is immediately like, all right, give me a tour. So he's giving her a tour, and the entire time, she's just looking at all the pictures, and she keeps staring at pictures of his dad when he was younger, like for a weirdly long time. You know what I mean? And it was like a bit bizarre, but whatever. Once again, he wasn't trying to pay much attention to it. So he's just giving her the tour room by room. This is this is that. And obviously she's just, you know, looking at all the family pictures and whatnot. And then they got down into the basement, and she's like, oh, can your parents hear us from their room? And he says no, and he's thinking, you know, like, oh, this is sick. We're back in my childhood basement. Like, 13-year-old me is hiding hyped at what's about to go down. And we're not going to get into details, but that is not what happened, dude. As soon as he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my parents can't hear us, he starts leaning in for a kiss, right? And she like pulls away from him and is like, oh, no, not right now. I just had a quick question. I could tell that your dad was a little bit stressed when your mom came into the room. Like, I don't know if this is too personal. I don't mean to pry, but is their marriage doing okay? Which, you know, you don't mean to pry, but asking if this dude's parents' marriage is doing all right is the definition of prying. And obviously the guy's been at college, but he's pretty sure his parents are fine. So he tells her, he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my parents are fine. You know, why are you asking? And she's like, oh, no reason, you know, no reason whatsoever. I was just asking. I just wanted to make sure, you know, they're your family. They mean a lot to me. I just want to make sure that they're okay. And for some reason, this guy's like, oh, that's a really sweet excuse. He plays it off like she's just being sweet, dude. I'm keeping it $1.50 with you. If there's smoke, there's a fire usually, dog. And if all of these weird occurrences are occurring, chances are there's a weird reason, you know? She seems bizarrely interested in your dad. She keeps asking about your dad, asking if your parents' marriage is okay. It's probably because she's trying to hit on your dad, you know? Whatever, they end up going to bed, and the next morning he wakes up and his girlfriend's not in bed, and he goes out there, and his dad and his girlfriend are sitting there at the kitchen table talking and making coffee, and like his girlfriend is being, you know, very laughy and energetic, and he chalks it up to her trying to make a good first impression, you know? But she's usually not a morning person, so he thought it was a little bit weird, but whatever, it is what it is. And his dad is like seeming a little bit uncomfortable too, you know what I mean? Like his dad's got a weird vibe to it. And whatever, they're sitting there eating breakfast, and everything's going okay. There's a little bit of awkward air, but he can't put his finger on it. And eventually his girlfriend gets up and like leaves the table, right? She's like, I'm gonna go shower, you know, you promised me a tour of your hometown today. But before she goes to shower, she's like, oh, hey, could your dad come with us? And his dad is like, nope, I've got work today. And his girlfriend's like, please come with us, please. He's like, no, I've got work today, which once again he thought was weird, but sure enough, his girlfriend goes to shower, and his dad is like, hey, I'm not trying to be weird, bro, but your girlfriend's being a little bit bizarre. Like, she's been hanging out with me all morning trying to talk to me. It's fine you guys are staying, but like, I'm just getting a weird vibe off of her, and I just wanted you to know. And this guy started being like, what do you mean she's being weird? What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? She's not being weird. And the dad was just kind of trying to be like, look, your girlfriend's just being a little weird, without telling his son, I'm pretty sure your girlfriend is hitting on me, you know? And that's when his mom is like, yeah, I don't like her. Straight up, something's off about her. I'm not a big fan. But whatever, they're kind of having a chit chat about it while his girlfriend's in the shower, and she comes out of the shower all dressed and ready to go, and he takes her to the car, and they go on a tour of his hometown. And the entire time they're on a tour of his hometown, everything's fine, and he's like, look, I was clearly overthinking. Everything's cool now. Everything must have just been trying to make a good first impression. That night, though, they were going out to dinner with their parents because the night before, obviously, they had gotten in late, so this was like their first night to go out to dinner and actually be out with his parents. So they get home, and, you know, she's like, I'm gonna go get ready and whatnot. And while they're in there, his dad's like, listen, dude, I'm just telling you, I'm getting a weird vibe from this girl. I might just not go. And he's like, Dad, you have to go. There's no way I'm gonna be able to explain to her why you don't want to go to dinner with her without making it weird, so please just go. And the dad, like, really doesn't want to go. So whatever, the mom comes out, the girlfriend comes out, they all get in the car and they're going to dinner. And the entire ride, the car is just eerily silent, almost as if, like, you know, nobody wants to say anything. So they get there, they get their table, and obviously these people are in college, and you know, they decide to get some drinks, and the girlfriend starts to get a little as the kids say, hydrated these days, you know. And when you get hydrated, maybe stuff that you're better at keeping your mouth shut about starts to come out a little bit, and she just starts like flirting with his dad straight up. And his dad is having none of it, dude. He looks at her and he's like, you are my son's girlfriend. Are you kidding me right now? And his son is just sitting there like shocked. The kid who sent in the story doesn't really know what to do. And then in front of his mom, dude, his girlfriend leans over the table and just plants a kiss right on his dad in front of him at the restaurant. And at that point, bro, all hell breaks loose. His mom reaches back and just slaps this girl in the face. And she's like, oh my God, what was that for? And she's like, did you just kiss my husband? Who do you think you are? I can't believe that you have the nerve to come in after my family took you in all, you know. to come for these 2 weeks and you couldn't even make it a couple days without hitting on my husband. What's wrong with you? And the entire restaurant is looking. And the girlfriend starts being like, I'm sorry, I thought he was flirting with me. And the dad's like, no, I've been telling my son to get you out of the house because you've been being weird. And the girl's like, no, you've been flirting with me. I know it. And the dad is like, no, I have not been, because I've been telling my son that you've been doing this, or trying to say it in the nicest way possible, but my son's an idiot and doesn't understand. So at that point, they just get the check. They go home, and the girl's like, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm getting a flight. You know, she's acting mad, as if she's the one who should be pissed that she just kissed his dad. You know, like the guy who's just got this whole situation done to him is just so confused. He doesn't even know what's happening. And before he's even able to like process anything and get angry, she's on an Uber, or in an Uber on her way to the airport, bro. She was not sticking around to be in the situation of awkwardness that she created. So she gets home and he FaceTimes her, and he just like is screaming at her, saying, what the hell is wrong with you, whatnot. And her excuse, no BS, is that she thought that he would appreciate that she wanted to get close with his family. And he's like, okay, yeah, I want you to get close with my family, but that is not the type of close that I meant, all right? And obviously, she, like, didn't expect the relationship to end, which blows my mind. He was done. He's like, no, that's it. I can't go back from this. That's over. And she was trying to convince him to stay in the relationship after she kissed his dad, bro. No, thank you. Honestly, to be fair, you did kind of dodge a bullet. Like, sure, it sucks that you have this story, but the fact that at least you figured this out right away, and it wasn't like, 8 years of marriage later with 6 kids when she tried to hit on your dad, that would have been a lot more awkward. Hello, dad, stepdad, grandpa. Like, that would have been just the most confusing situation of all time, bro. I just don't even know what the girl was thinking. Why would your boyfriend ever want you to kiss his dad? Ever? To get close with his like, what? Why would he want you to be that close with his family? I'm sorry, if your family is that close where, like, you're cool with your dad kissing your girlfriend, bro, that's weird. I'm not one to judge, but I'm judging because that's just weird. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you just taking a second to press the like button. Also, comment down below. Anything does, it all helps to hit the video, hit recommended. If you guys want more content, I do have a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. A link to that can be found in the description, along with the link to the intro song and a link to the merch store. And if you ask me, the merch is pretty fire. Other than that, if you guys got any crazy story times, feel free to send them into my Instagram @Scrubby, Twitter @Scrubby_69. And on that note, that's gonna do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.